I'm gonna pound on you. There we go. Giddy up. Whee! Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by community guidelines. Learn more. Yes, please tell me more. While I get coffee. Oh. Good gravy. Orange is licking himself already, and we just started. Hello, folks. Danny, Dan, Ed, hello. Penguin Butt, Goliath Cleric, Nixit, hello. Running mod heavy tonight. they were like all lined up. It's like, oh, that's YouTube. Come on, get the firing squad lined up. Let's get ready. Like the wrench squad, the bopping on the face. Gators, what's up? Welcome to your first stream, dude. Yeah, it's been exactly 1 month, Danny. 1 month. Oh my goodness. Holy crap. What is this? Woo! Nice. Nice. Lewis, what's up? Happy Friday to you, dude. Nasabu, hello. Sino, what up, dude? Sir Vic, what up? Waring, hello. Penguin Butt and Tashu almost got dragged under the water by my mega gargantuan octopus. Oh, that sounds so like you. But they survived. Also sounds like you. Not willing to suffer any PC deaths, Goliath Cleric. You're so soft. Pengu survived by 1 on her strength save to avoid being pulled overboard. You like Goliath Cleric's gonna kill half of my mod crew in his D&D games. Silver Star, what up? Archie, hello. First time here. Well, welcome to your first time. Your favorite Tim. Definitely my favorite Tim. I have no, actually, you know what? Your favorite Tim, I know no other Tim. So you're either my favorite Tim or my least favorite Tim. It's gonna go one way or the other. So you got a 50% chance of becoming my favorite Tim. No, the video has not started. Bomber Steve, what's up, dude? Leighton, hello. You got a game session tomorrow, Silver Star? Sweet. Matthew Sacks, something. Matthew S, hello, welcome. First time viewer, sweet, welcome, dude. I seem sick. Yeah, I've been hacking up hairballs all day. It's horrible. You know, it happens. It's okay though, I'm good. Calling the kettle black there, Luke. Dan, you're gonna get your name banned from everything. Just keep it up, dude. No, we'll just call you Bear. Your first name will no longer be pronounceable on any of my platforms. We'll just say Bear. We'll just call you B. Actually, I think I already banned the letters D, A, and N in any combination. Enoch, what up, dude? Welcome to your stream. Yeah, it says stream starting soon. That's because we're gonna start soon. We haven't officially started yet. This is me just saying hello to people. We haven't actually started. You're 1 session away from finishing Into the Fae? Sweet. William, that's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that, dude. Clearly you were part of the playtest group that got the draft in advance. He is your favorite and least favorite Tim at the same time because that is the only Tim you know. That's a great point. It's a great point. Another YouTube stream that I know has the same first name as me. Who would that be, Luke? You can't ban his name from everything. His name is part of mine. Well, Danny, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. You can either tender your 2 weeks to me, or I can give you a pink slip. But you have Dan in your name, and I'm not sure I can employ you any longer. It's unfortunate. Dan kind of ruined your job for you. I would blame Dan. I think he lives in Canada. Canada's pretty small. We can track him down. Zombie Gamer, what's up, dude? Been on popping for a while, been busy, love your content, it's helped me a lot. Thank you, dude, I appreciate that. I'm happy to help, man. As soon as I joined, I banned Dan. No, I didn't just ban Dan. I banned any iteration of any combination of the letters D, A, and N in any form whatsoever. Yeah. A sci-fi campaign setting? I've never played a sci-fi game. Not D&D. Anthony, thanks, dude. I appreciate that, buddy. Ed says, don't take our Danny away from us. We need her. I would never do that, Ed. Yeah, I know. Ed is freaking out. Ed's like, I'm gonna have to do all the work myself. Holy crap. I would never do that to you, Ed. Danny shall now be known as Nee. Yeah. Canada is literally the second biggest country on Earth. Really? Second? Well, in landmass. Second to is the Soviet Union or Russia, whatever they call themselves now. Only because of landmass, dude. You know, it's not actual population. And most of it's ice, right? I mean, I've seen ice road truckers, right, Dan? It's all ice. Dan's gonna back me up on this one, right, Dan? Dan, come on, back me up, Dan. I could just, Penguin Bus says I could let Danny have an exception. I could. That's true. I could make an exception just for her. Yeah. No one is able to say the word and. That's a great point. That would make writing really hard. What's up, Brett? How you doing, man? You're welcome, dude. Dan has not confirmed. Okay. Dan, I asked you a question, Dan, about Canada, and you're not answering me. I asked you if it was all covered with ice, and you've yet to answer me. In Cornwall, Ontario. All right. Well, Dan is being a cooperative. We're gonna start. We gotta start. Let's see. Where's our button? Ooh. All right, here we go. What up? Welcome to the live stream. We are live streaming tonight. This is Q&A, so you guys throw questions down in the chat. I answer them. Do the whole hashtag question thing, all caps question, and my lovely moderators will put your question into a spreadsheet where I will be able to pull and answer questions from. That way you don't have to spam your questions because spammers die around here. My moderators have big bloody wrenches and they're not afraid to use them. So don't spam your questions. It goes into a spreadsheet. I promise you, I'll try my best. I will try my best. So let's get some sleazy plugs out of the way before we begin tonight, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? All right, first thing I want to let you guys know about is dmlair.com, my website. Could I get a moderator to link that, please? I don't talk about it a whole lot, but I have tons of free crap over there. Entire D&D adventures and other Dungeon Master resources, the dmlair.com. You can go over there, you can get it, you can use it in your games. It doesn't cost you anything at all. And you can sign up for my newsletter while you're over there. If you get into the newsletter, you'll get the free stuff delivered to your inbox, and you will get discount codes to my store, where you can get back issues of Lair magazine and other adventures and other resources that I publish. So folks on the newsletter get bonus stuff, discounts, and all that kind of cool stuff. So go check all that fun stuff out. It's free. Yeah. And now we're going to move into the shout outs for my lovely patrons. All of these awesome folks displayed on stream here help keep the lights on around here. They help me to create all of the content that I create for the D&D community, all of the adventures on the dmlair.com that I just got done mentioning, the live streams that I do, the videos that I do, all of this stuff. These folks help support that. I'm deeply appreciative of that. And then these folks right here, these guys here, they pay the big bucks to get their name read off every live stream. So now we're gonna read through these folks. Somebody time me, tell me how long it takes. I've been practicing. 5e Magic Shop, Anthony L, a very merry on birthday, Amanda W, Arutha, Baobon, Brad A, Brian C, Brian S, Candy Sora, Chad B, Chase O, Chris C, Chris E, Chris H, Chris R, Chris Y, Cody B, Contrary Gravy, David M, Dresna, Dylan S, Edward L, Edward Ed R, Endorian 72, Fallon, Gary, Goliath, Cleric, Heretic, Hydra Slayer, Izzy T, Jacob S, Jake L, James L, Jeremy W, Joshin B, Joel L, Jonathan S, Josh G, Joshua G, Joseph H, Josue S, Kale S, Karen C, Kai K, Ken S, Kevin P, Kezides, Kirby, Crafty Mac, Kyle M, Kiriako, Leopold X92, Ludwig B, Lord Kemiak, Lori S, Maelstrom, Michael C, Michael H, Mumbles, Munlo V, Owen D, Paul B, Paul R, Paul Y, Penguin Butt, published author, Race W, Rachel S, Ramsey M, Ray Slick, Robert W, Rob M, Rock and Roll Joe, Ron H, Ryan G, Sakura, Scott C, Simon, Snapbagger, Sophie M, Son of a Sofa Man, Stetson H, Stephen F, Tactical Tokens, the old DM, The Pickle, Theta Tag, Tim Black, Tony M, Tooth and Nail, Rules, Tristan W, Tyler N, Tyler R, X Xavier H, boom. What'd you guys get? How long was that? Was that under a minute? Come on. My last record was a minute. I got it at a minute last time. Somebody got to tell me. Penguin Butt, what'd you get? Notice who? 56.77 seconds. Oh, baby. Yes. Ed and Penguin Butt says 61 seconds. There's a discrepancy there, folks. There's a huge discrepancy right there. It shows you've been practicing. I practice twice a week, dude. I practice twice a week reading my folks off. All right. So, Q&A. Yeah, let's do some Q&A. Oh, that's right. I forgot to mention. Where is it? Yes, this guy right here. This is our boss. This is the boss. I'm currently the boss. I have 5,000 hit points, and you can kill me. And if you kill me, if you kill the boss, your name goes right there. The person who delivers the killing blow kills the boss. And you might be asking, well, Luke, that sounds great, but how can I kill the boss? Well, you can super chat and you can tip. Super chatting and tips helps kill the boss. If we kill the boss, 10 times tonight, then we will do a giveaway at the end of the night. And anybody here at the end of the stream tonight can enter the giveaway. You don't gotta actually give any money at all. If the boss gets killed 10 times, then we do a giveaway. There's going to be 2 winners of the giveaway tonight at the end of the stream. The first winner is going to get a D&D book of their choice. As long as you live in the US, so that I don't have to pay like $50 international shipping and crazy crap. As long as you're in the US, the first winner is going to get a D&D book of their choice. I will autograph, sign it, say stuff in it. You know, it'll be very happy. Yeah, it'll be very happy. And then I send it to you. The runner-up winner will get we'll get a back issue of Lair magazine. They'll get some store credit for the DM Lair store, so they can pretty much get Lair magazine and other things off my store of their choice. So that is how Beat the Boss works tonight. And I think Stream Elements just put a little a link there to where you can do tipping if you want to do tipping. So that's how Beat the Boss works, if you are interested. And now we're going to get into questions. Oh, the questions. First question. Do you have any advice for DMing non-inquisitive players? Like, how do I get them to question and investigate the world? My players are so passive, it hurts sometimes. So I can only imagine that you're like sitting around the table and you give a description of an area, and like none of your players want to do anything. Like everybody just kind of sits there and they just don't want to do anything. There are a couple different types. I mean, you can kind of narrow players down into two types. You have players who do stuff. They're the ones that are active, you know, they're the leader type, they're not passive, they're actively trying to go about and do stuff. And then you have players that tend to be more of like that little bit more backseat. They kind of just watch things going on, and they are more passive, as this person's describing. And of course, the problem is, usually what happens is in any given group, you have like 4 or 5 people, and 2 or 3 of them are the active types, where they're just like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And then a couple people are just content to kind of go along with it. They'll still play, you know, they'll say stuff, but they're not as like, you know, outgoing as the others. However, if you get the luck of the draw and have an entire group where everybody is the passive type and nobody wants to do anything, yeah, that's rough. I would probably, if I had, dude, I don't know how do, I've never had a group like that. I've never had the luck of the draw of an entire group of people who don't want to really do anything. I would probably just talk with them just straight up and be like, guys, this game only works if you guys do stuff. Like you need to just declare actions like what you're doing. If you guys don't do that, then nothing's really gonna happen here. Like, I'm gonna stare at you and you're gonna stare at me. And honestly, there's only so much that I'm gonna be doing as a dungeon master to prompt my players to do something. Like, I'm not gonna be like, do you guys want to do this? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? What do you do with that? What do you do with that? What do you do with that? I'm not gonna handhold them. You know what I mean? Like, they have to take some initiative. So it's like the meet me the halfway thing. You know, they have to put in a certain amount of effort to interact with the game elements and do things. You know, so I'm just gonna have probably a very straightforward conversation with them and explain that, like, some of you have to do stuff. You have to take the initiative. You have to investigate. You have to look around. You have to declare actions. Otherwise, this game's not gonna work. It just isn't gonna work because none of you want to do anything. You know, and it's not necessarily like a judgment on the players. It sounds like it's probably more of their personalities and just how they are as people. They're just more passive. They're not quite as outgoing, you know. But I think a straight conversation with them is needed to just explain that, look, this is what's got to happen for this game to work, you know. Otherwise, as the dungeon master, what are you going to be doing? You're going to be doing so much work trying to prompt them, get them to go to do some actions, drawing things out. It's like, no, man, that's too much. You know, they have to meet you halfway. You can't also be like pulling teeth during the game session to get them to do anything. So I would just have a conversation with them is the way I'd go with that. Gamer Pharaoh, thank you for the $2 super chat. He cast Fireball. Well, thank you. You did a little bit of damage to the boss. That was your Fireball right there. Fireball is not the best spell in the game. All right, let's get another. I got that question. Let's do another question. Boom, I got that. By the way, if you want to damage the boss, the tipping is more effective than super chats. Just so you know, YouTube takes a huge slice of the super chat, and so it does not do as much damage to the boss. That's such a cute shirt. Well, thank you. It's cute because it has a cat on it. Because it has a cat on it. Yeah, Joe crap. Disagree with my session of Fireball. No, Fireball is pound for pound the very best damage dealing spell in the game. There's no doubt about that. There's absolutely no doubt about Fireball being the best damage dealing spell for its level. I'm not arguing that. I will lose that argument every day of the week. That's why I have, like, you know, flame skulls and my wizards. You know, you could just have a party. You know, you have an encounter with like 3 wizards in it, and like a couple frontline fighters, and each wizard casts Fireball in the very first round of combat. 3 fireballs, boom, 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 right on top of your party. On the players' first round of combat. That's crazy. Little guy's here. Little guy wants his belly rubbed. Little guy. I'm gonna see if I can get him on camera. See if he can roll around. You wanna roll? Little guy, roll. roll. Little guy, roll. Do you want your belly rubbed or what? He wants me to rub his belly, but he won't roll. Little guy. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. We're in business. Fine. There we go. Gotta give him a good belly rubbing. Way to do it. I'm a first-time DM. How do you best engage players that don't want a roleplay heavy game? You're screwed. You're screwed. The whole game is role-playing. If they don't want to role-play, you're done. Like, okay, so you have role-playing, and then elements of role-playing are combat, and then you have exploration, and then you have social interactions. The whole game is role-playing. Like, it's a role-playing game. Whether you're fighting, exploring, or doing talky bits, the whole game is role-playing. So if your players don't want a role-playing game, you should be playing a different game. Go find a game. I don't know, but it doesn't work. You can't. The whole game is role-playing. Whether you're killing monsters or you're talking to them, you're role-playing. So yeah, you're in trouble. All right, let's see here. Do you have any tips on running games for 1 to 2 players? I've been doing these kind of games for a while and I can't help but feel something's off. Yeah, something's off because the game's not really designed for 1 to 2 players. It's designed for a group of players. Like, all the game mechanics are core. Shut up! He's over there crying now. He wants me to rub his belly. I just rubbed his belly. I literally just rubbed his belly. What? What? He's coming back over. Now he wants me to rub his belly again. I'm not rubbing your belly all night. I'm not gonna do it. This guy's gonna drive me nuts, man. He just goes on these little kicks where all he wants is people to rub his belly non-stop. My wife sometimes just kicks him outside. She's like, or she'll put him in the 3 Seasons room. She'll just be like, all right, you're going out here. Shuts the door because he won't shut up. He wants you to rub his belly all night long. What was the question? Oh yeah, so the game is kind of designed for about like 4 players or so, right? Like, it's a lot of the balancing and stuff. Now, if you're gonna run for 1 or 2 players, it's really the main thing is balancing combat. Balancing combat. So you kind of technically, the challenge rating system and how to do the math to figure it out is supposed to account for all. No, it's stupid. It's pretty much the biggest overruling thing you got to think about when you have fewer players is action economy. If they're only attacking 2 times per round, then if you're monsters, I don't care if they're kobolds. If there are like 10 kobolds, but according to the math, it's an okay challenge for 2 players. The 10 kobolds get 10 attacks per round. Their action economy far outweighs these 2, and they're gonna get demolished. They're gonna have really hard time. So the biggest ruling thing is action economy. If your players, if you want a challenging encounter, have your monsters, however many monsters there are, have a little bit higher action economy. If you want to have a less challenging encounter, then they have less action economy. Obviously the challenge rating matters, because if they're doing like 500 damage per hit, then that's crazy. All right, but action economy is a big part of that. So you can rebalance things. Obviously, you can do things like you could have your players could run a couple different characters if they want. You could give them a sidekick. Is it called sidekicks? I think they're called sidekicks. From Tasha's, which is a fairly decent mechanic. You could give them sidekicks they could run. You could have an NPC that you run help them, but I hate that idea. I would rather have the players run the NPC and just call it a sidekick, or call it an intern, or call it a hireling, whatever you want. So you have a few different options there. And all of those options really just revolve around balancing the game combat, the combat in the game. Because that's really the only problem when you have 1 or 2 players. It's the combat that needs balancing. And if you can solve that with some of those ideas I just threw at you, then you should be good to go. I've done it before. It can be done. Okay. I lost that question. Moderator, could one of you click that question off, please? I don't know where it is. I'm getting too many questions. How should a DM keep track of the PC's actions? Take notes. And have the world and big badge respond appropriately to the party. Think about their actions, and then think about what would be the most appropriate thing for your big bad to do in response to those actions. Plan it out, and then have them respond accordingly. That's how you do that. What do you think about balancing spells to make them more usable? Don't want 4th edition. 4th edition was all about balance. Everything was equal. All spells everywhere equal. Everybody equal. And folks mostly just threw that all out. So the fact of the matter is the classes are not balanced. They're not. You compare a paladin to, I don't know, a ranger, paladin womps on them. You compare an artificer to some of the older classes, probably gonna get womped on. Spells aren't balanced. The 5th edition is not about balance. The game isn't about balance. Spells aren't balanced. You take true, what is it? Is it True Strike? True Strike? Is that the spell, like probably the worst cantrip in the entire game? Or you have like Eldritch Blast, which everybody and their mother and their grandma splash a little bit of Warlock to get Eldritch Blast, you know? So there's nothing balanced, you know, about a lot of these game mechanics. And I don't think that's not like to knock it. I'm sure it's intentional. It's intentional because they tried the balance thing before and people threw that crap out. Most people did. Tips on how to keep track of everything going on in combat. You use your brain or you take notes? Or you remember it or you take notes? I try my best to make combat feel fast, but this often results in me forgetting that a character is frightened, for example. Well, you come up with little things to help you with that. So every time there's a condition applied to a character, the character, if we're in Roll20, they get a little symbol on top of their token to remind me that they're frightened or poisoned or concentrating on a spell or whatever. If we're playing in person, then they get a little button. I have little tiny buttons, you know, the kinds you put on your shirts and stuff. I have little buttons with various different colors, and I will put them next to their miniatures on the game board to remind me, oh, the yellow button. What's the yellow button again? Oh yeah, you're paralyzed. That sucks. And then I know what's going on with them. So there are various little things. It depends on what your specific thing you're having trouble remembering is, and you come up with a way to help you remember it. You know, like conditions or buttons or little things on your token. Use divination to keep track of everything. Yes. What's your most OP class in your opinion? Paladin is so powerful. Paladin is probably always going to, as of right now, Paladin is definitely my measuring stick of what power is. Anytime somebody brings a class that seems really powerful, and I'm just like, whoa, I will compare it to the Paladin. Is it as powerful as the Paladin? If it's not, then okay, whatever, it's fine. If it's more powerful than Paladin, then I gotta think about that. It's like, okay, here we go. What do you think about the way the Astral Self Monk? I'm not familiar with it. What do you do when your players figure out a secret before they were supposed to? Don't care. I don't do anything. Congratulations, you guys figured it out. If they figured out the secret before they were supposed to, it's usually because, I don't know, I probably gave them too many clues or I was too obvious about it. But I'm not going to do anything to like punish the fact that they figured something out ahead of when they were supposed to. I don't even know what supposed to means. You know, I'm not crafting I'm not crafting a story where there's like, you know, a rising action and then the climax. And at the climax, that's when you figure the secret out, because that's the most exciting part for you to do. I'm not trying to craft a story. I'm not writing a story. You know, I'm creating situations and my players are interacting with those situations and we see what happens. Now, if I create a situation and there's a secret involved and my players happen to interact with that situation and they figure the secret out early, well, sweet. That gives them an advantage. They're going to figure that might, I don't know, the fight might go easier or something. I don't know, but I'm not too concerned about them figuring things out before they're supposed to. I'm not trying to orchestrate events. I'm not like this grand like storyteller orchestrating all of the little aspects of a story and when it's supposed to happen. You know, I create a situation, my players interact with it, and depending on what they do, a story happens, and it's usually different than what I thought could have possibly happened. We had a one shot on Tuesday. We had a one shot. Oh, this one shot is it's over on my second YouTube channel, the DM Lair streams. You should go. Is it over there? Yeah, it's over there now. It's called the Little Herb of Horrors. The Little Herb of Horrors. And they literally were playing through the one shot and things were going mostly the way that I figured they probably would. They're fighting stuff, they're winning, blah, 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 blah. They get to the end, they found the thing that they were there to find, and then one of the players did something totally unexpected and chaos resulted. And things just were like, holy crap. So it never saw that coming. So yeah, you don't plan for that crap. I'm a heavy homebrew master and I'm trying my way into the written modules. Any tips? Just do it. Bust out the module and go. It's gonna feel very unnatural to you. It'll be hard. It'll seem. The first time I ran a module, I was the same way. Since I started playing D&D, it was almost all homebrew. Up until I started playing 5th edition. 5th edition was the first time so in 2nd edition there was a little tiny module that was in the Forgotten Realms campaign setting box set. I ran that, but that's it. Other than that, I'd never run modules until 5th edition. My very first module I ran for 5th edition, I was like, holy crap, this is ridiculous. This is more difficult for me to run the module than it is to actually homebrew it and run it myself. There's more prep time, it's more work. Oh my gosh, that was my first time. But then as I ran modules and did more of them, it got easier. And now I can take, it depends on the module, but there are some modules that I can take an entire adventure and I can prep it, and in about, sometimes if I'm pressed for time, I can get a prep done in an hour, as long as the maps are done. As long as the maps are already done and ready for me, I can read it and prep the adventure to run it for my players in like an hour out of a module. If I'm really booking, it's not my preference to do that fast, but it can be done. So the first time you do it, it's going to be rough, dude. You just got to do it and work through it, and then you'll get better at it. I think you just jump in. That's the tip. Danny says, and now you're writing your own. They grow up so fast. Yes. Actually, Danny, you do some of that writing yourself. So yeah, you grow up fast. You grew up really fast too. Oh, there we go. Elusive Hobo. Oh, that's a cool name, dude. That's a cool name. Elusive Hobo super chats $5, and he has knocked the hit points down of our first boss. I'm still the boss. Remember, whoever delivers the killing blow, your name will be up there until they kill you. Says, thank you for being an awesome guy. You're very welcome, dude. Thank you. I like your coffee mug, too, and your little icon thingy. That's good. Danny probably likes that, too. Tea's better, though. Tea's better. This is tea. Danny's I'm old, shriveling away. Boss Battle Productions, what up, dude? No, it's not. Hey, quit biting me. That's Squeaky. He just bit me. Do you use a stat block modifier creator? Nope. I just have a text document. That's all I do. That's all I have. Tasha's or Xanathar's? Is that a question? Not Tasha's. Never Tasha's. Yeah. After a year of hiatus from D&D, I'm considering becoming a DM. Is there a piece of advice you wish someone had told you about being a DM before you started? Oh gosh, I have no clue. You're probably gonna feel like you have no clue what you're doing, and you're probably gonna feel like you suck and the game sucks, and your players probably think you're a horrible dungeon master. Ignore all of those stupid thoughts and feelings. You're probably doing okay. If your players are smiling and laughing and they keep coming back, you're doing okay. You're new. You can't expect to be good when you first start. Do not set higher expectations for yourself than are reasonable for you to set. If you think you're gonna come in and be the most seasoned, awesome dungeon master in the world, you're gonna fall on your face. So just be realistic. It's simple. It's not easy, and it takes a long time to get good at it for most people. Some people are naturals, some other people are not. So it'll take a little bit of time, and that's okay. Just relax, enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. Don't worry too much about the destination of being the world's best dungeon master. Enjoy the journey, enjoy the game, have fun, okay? Have fun. Don't get too worked up about it. That's what I'll give you. Martin, thank you for the almost $5 super chat. Appreciate that, dude. Also doing a little bit of damage to our boss up top. Question, I run legendary. By the way, if you super chat or tip a question, I will give it priority because I don't know, because it feels like the right thing to do. I run Legendary Minds of Phandelver, and I am confused a little bit by random encounters. So I've never read nor played that module. So just bear that in mind with whatever I'm about to say. For me, it feels like it just prolongs game sessions. Am I running it wrong? What purpose serves random encounters in module? No, you're not running it wrong. There's no right way to run it. There is no right way to run a module. So I think that's the first thing we can just kind of throw aside. Everything that's there is for you as a dungeon master. They are resources. The module is full of resources for you to use in running your game. The parts of it that you choose to implement and the parts of it that you throw away because you don't feel like they're bringing any benefit to the game table, that's fine. Throw crap away. Throw NPCs away. Change NPCs. I change NPCs. Change stuff. Change monsters. Whatever. I'm doing Curse of Strahd right now. I made an entire separate Wizard's Tower because I thought the Mad Mage on the slopes of Mount Baratok was ridiculously stupid. He's just wandering around by himself. He's gonna get one shot. I don't care if he's a CR 12 Archmage. You give him against a party of 5 characters, they're gonna smash his brains out. So I made an entire Wizard's Tower. That part of the module, I was like, thank you, no. I made my own thing. So every part of the module is a resource for you to use as you see fit. Now, encounters, random encounters, they do prolong the game. They absolutely prolong the game. So what purpose does a random encounter serve? It's not just to fight crap. If you have a random encounter and it's just, oh yeah, I rolled the dice and oh, orcs attack. Oh, that's stupid. You don't want to just have a random encounter where stuff attacks you. That's not, there's plenty of combat in the module and in the game as a whole. Random encounters should serve as something interesting. There should be some interesting thing going on in a random encounter. That doesn't mean there can't be combat. It just means there needs to be something interesting about the random encounter that there's a purpose for it being in the game to make things more interesting, exciting, not just to fight some stupid orcs. Okay, so example, Curse of Strahd. One of my random encounters that I had made for my Curse of Strahd group was that they would come across 3 spirits, 3 ghosts, and the 3 ghosts were each of a beautiful woman, and they came to them and they said, we need you to decide which of us is the most beautiful so that our spirit may rest. And the characters then, the players, had to decide which of these 3 ghosts was the most beautiful. They were all equally beautiful. Okay, there was no real distinction. I think the difference was that you had like blonde, brunette, and redhead or something. I don't know. And they were like, okay, so this is 3 ghosts, and we have to choose which one's the most beautiful to put her soul to rest. Okay. And one of the players had a great idea. This player's great idea was he wanted the ghosts to go prepare for a pageant. He wanted them to go off into the woods and get ready for a pageant. You know, get all decked up and dressed up or something, ghosts, I don't know, and prepare for a pageant. And then they would have a proper pageant, and then they would judge them to see which was the most beautiful. And the ghosts were about to accept, which literally would have meant that they went off and the players continued on without having to do any fighting or anything. They would have bypassed, or they would have solved that encounter by that idea. That was a great idea. He was saying that, Trevor was saying that, and I was like, oh, that's a great idea. Okay. But then just as mentally I was going along with it, just as I was mentally like, okay, that'll work. Then one of the other players, Kevin, was like, he chose the redhead, I think, as the most beautiful one. And at that moment, the redhead, her spirit was laid to rest. She dissipated into the air and thanked them and everything. The other 2 ghosts became enraged and furious and attacked the party. So that's an example of a random encounter. There's an interesting thing going on. It serves to spice up the game session, and it did result in a combat, but it didn't have to. So my suggestion for random encounters is to do things like that. Have a handful of random encounters. I will show you, I'm going to give you a sneak peek. My players should not look at this. I'm going to give you a sneak peek of some of the random encounters that I have planned for, let's go with my Ancient Dragon group. This is my Ancient Dragon group, so Zach, don't look at this. It'll ruin your game experience. Close your ears, Zach. Zach, close your ears. So I have this tab in OneNote called Random Encounters and Points of Interest. So some of these things, so this is an example of it. We have a woodsman took this lady's children and she needs to get her children back. And the woodsmen are actually Ani, who plan to eat the children and stuff. And that's the random encounter. They come across a woman who needs their help, and they're going to go find her or whatever. The next one is a unicorn. A unicorn covered in foam is charging across a field, is exhausted, and the heroes see it. The unicorn is actually looking for a magical longsword or something that was stolen from her glaive. Her glaive? What is it called? Where is it? Yeah, glade. Yeah, glade. Her magical glade. And they were vampires. They stole it. The unicorn wants them to go help get it back from the vampires or something. And then here's another one, the one at the bottom here that you can't see, and I can't even scroll down. But basically, some cyclops tracking the heroes. They plan to ambush them, but they're doing it because they think the heroes are responsible for slaughtering their pasture full of sheep, and they want revenge or recompense. The players didn't have anything to do with the stupid sheep. It was actually a hydra that dwells in a swamp that killed the sheep. So that the players can talk with the cyclops and maybe go help them with the hydra or something. All right. But my point here is that you put some sort of interesting idea around these random encounters. Now, some of these random encounters, the unicorn, they might just walk away and be like, no, we're not going to help you. These cyclops, they might just convince the cyclops they had nothing to do with the sheep, and the cyclops leave them alone. You know, the woodsman, the woman who, like, her daughter and children were carried off by the Oni that want to kill them and eat them. Like, they could just say, no, we're not helping you, and they walk along. The idea of the random encounter is you present an interesting situation for your players to interact with in the game, and it doesn't have to just be orcs stampeding over a hill that attack them. You know, that's not a random encounter. That's just the dungeon master throwing monsters at the group for a honestly pointless combat in most situations. It doesn't really add anything interesting to the game. You're just crunching, you're just like swinging swords and you're just depleting hit point pools. You know what I mean? So that's my suggestion for random encounters. Do random encounters more like that. And it's going to be far more interesting for your groups. Let's see. I want to put, we're at 40 minutes. All right, beautiful. Owen, what's up, dude? How you doing, man? Good to see you. Owen was in, I think it's the same Owen. You were in the one shot. I was just talking about our one shot game. Owen is the dude who did it too. Owen, wave to everybody. He was in my one shot game this last Tuesday. He's the dude. He's the dude that they had basically won, and then he did something and they didn't win. I was just telling people about that and told them Owen is chaos incarnate. Ernesto, hello, what's up, dude? Goliath Cleric says, I'm so proud of him too. He did it while playing as a Goliath Cleric. Yeah, he did. He was literally a Goliath Cleric. Yeah, you can ask questions to chat. You can ask questions to whoever you want. Are you a full-time YouTuber? No, I have a full-time job. I have a player who wants their character to be capable of breaking the fourth wall, Deadpool style. I'm not sure how I feel about this. What would you say? Well, if you don't feel comfortable with it, then you don't have to allow it. You know, like what? How are they going to break the fourth wall, Deadpool style? That's like an element from a comic book. Like, it really depends on how they go about doing that and what their point in doing that is. You know what I mean? Like, why? Well, what's their motivation for that? Is it just to make humorous comments or something? I mean, shoot, we make humorous comments all the time that break the fourth wall, but it's us as players doing it, not their character doing it. You know what I mean? I don't know how I feel about that. It really is going to depend upon your player, their motivations for doing so, and how comfortable you feel with them doing that. And if you think that they're going to be trying to do it to gain advantages in game, or if it's purely a role-playing thing and you think it would go well. But that's going to require your discretion as a dungeon master, and you don't have to allow it. I don't know how you would stop them. Essentially, they just want to use metagame information in their character, or they want their character to spout out metagame information or acknowledge stuff about the meta. I don't know. And don't know how I feel about that either, I guess. What are some ways of making a meal at a tavern fun? Don't just skip it. Get gravy. I think it was one of my previous live streams. Somebody was talking about, or it was a comment. No, I think it was a comment on a YouTube video. Somebody was literally telling me they were having a really hard time getting into Dungeons and Dragons because they've joined a group, and the group like spent an entire game session at a tavern eating and playing games and talking with the people there, or the two players interacting with each other, you know, and they were like, that was the entire game. It was just, we were literally in a tavern the whole time talking and eating food, and the dungeon master was giving descriptions of all the different drinks and foods and stuff. And they were like, that was the game, Luke. I'm not sure that Dungeons and Dragons is the game for me. And I was like, dude, that is just one person. That is one group's version of Dungeons and Dragons. That's not every single game of Dungeons and Dragons, you know. In fact, but of course, I don't know. If you go on Twitch a lot, people that stream on Twitch, that they seem to gravitate toward that, you know, where it's just this new style of Dungeons and Dragons, where it's all talky, and there's not a whole lot of other stuff going on, and you probably wouldn't even know it was Dungeons and Dragons except that it's in the D&D category. You know, it could be any game system because they're just sitting around talking. they're usually not fighting anything. They're not usually rolling any dice. You know, they're just really talking and stuff. So I got way off track from the question. It's not to necessarily knock groups that do that. If that's how they have fun and that's how they enjoy doing it, that's fine. It would not be the group for me. I would bounce from that group after the first game session, and I would find a group that has some combat in it because I like combat as a player and as a dungeon master. But your question is how to make eating at a tavern fun. Look, dude, if your group, if you and your group don't think that that's fun and you just want to go out and adventure and go into dungeons and explore dungeons and stuff and kill crap, then do that. You don't have to make eating a meal at a tavern fun. There is no requirement that says that that's your job or you got to do that. Don't force that crap. We go to a tavern, they want a meal, okay, you get a meal. You know, sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah, they have like rhubarb soup, you know, and you want an ale? Yeah, he gets you an ale, you know, and that's it. And that's the meal. And then something else might happen, you know. But I'm not going to sit there for a half an hour to try to make eating a meal at a tavern fun, because that does not suit my play style and it doesn't suit the play style of my players. So I'm just not going to try to make that fun. It's not worth my time. But my players do like other things. Some of my players like combat a lot. So I'm going to spend a lot of time trying to make combat fun. If you and your players all love eating meals at taverns and that's fun for you, I almost feel like you probably wouldn't be asking that question about how to make it fun, because it would feel natural to you maybe to make it fun or something. I don't know. And I'm not sure I have any advice for how to make eating a meal at a tavern fun. If it doesn't feel fun, fast forward and go to the next fun part. Go fast forward to the things that you guys do find fun. I think is probably going to be more of my advice than trying to force something to be fun. How could I give good descriptions for the Underdark in Out of the Abyss without saying you're walking in narrow tunnels every single day? Go to Google and look for images of caves and cave systems and underground stuff. Look for images of mushrooms and different types of flora that grow underground. Find images on Google of these things, and then either write descriptions out or just have the images handy so that you can just look at it and then describe what you see to your players. You could stink and print out the images and be like, yo, this is what the tunnel looks like. You know, so those are a few different things you could do. I've seen the collab with Dungeon Coach. Have you done it with other YouTubers? No. Do you plan to do it? Not really. I don't really plan on collaborations. If somebody that I respect and like proposes a collaboration, it's possible for that sort of thing to happen. But the person has to approach it with the right mentality. I've done collaborations before. Here's the thing, you gotta understand. Doing collaborations like that are a ton of work. They are a ton of work. Okay, content creators, influencers do collaborations because it's mutually beneficial for the two people involved for a variety of reasons. That is the reason you do collaborations. Okay, it's mutually beneficial. It helps each other out. However, there are some people that don't understand that, and they don't understand how to implement that properly. And so you go to a lot of work to do a collaboration and it doesn't turn out to be mutually beneficial. And then you're like, okay, great. That was a lot of work and it wasn't exactly what, you know, we thought we were going to do here. So some folks just don't understand that, which kind of sours me honestly to the idea of collaborations. Unless you got somebody like the Dungeon Coach, he and I are close, we're tight, and we talk about crap. And he and I are on the same page. We know what the purpose of a collaboration is and we implement it properly, you know. But not everybody can do that. Not everybody's mature enough, I suppose, or intelligent enough or wise enough or whatever to figure that out. So I'm always very, very hesitant to even consider collaborations because I've been burned in the past and it's too much work to go through to get burned in the end, you know. So there's your answer. I don't like that question. How do you feel about kicking players from a campaign because of an out-of-game conflict or things said outside of the game? Yeah, why not? Why else are you gonna kick them out? Like, the number one reason to kick players out is because of something they're doing that's bad outside of the game. You know, like they're arguing at the game table, they're bickering, a guy is rules lawyering or something. Like, I don't kick players out because of in-character stuff. It's always out of character stuff. Oh, you were saying out of the game. An out of game conflict or things said outside of the game. Okay, so maybe away from the game table. Look it, bottom line. If something is going on with a player, that I don't care what my players do in their free time, okay? If he's getting slobbering drunk or something in his free time, but he comes to the game table and he's a great player, I don't care. I just don't care. But if something's going on away from the game table and it's negatively impacting the game and causing a problem, then that is always grounds to consider removing a player. Like, if I don't know, let's just pretend, let's go to pretend land for a moment and say that we have a couple who is a couple, they're in your game, right? And then they break up. And now outside of the game, it's a crap show, bickering, fighting and stuff. And then they come to play and there's always snide remarks, there's things going on and there's tension and things aren't working. Dude, gotta do something because they're gonna bring your entire game down. All right, you gonna let them just burn your game to the ground? Something's gotta give, right? So it's a rough decision, but that is an example of something happening outside of the game that will absolutely, more than likely, most people aren't mature enough to prevent it from affecting the game, more than likely going to affect your game. And if you do nothing, your game could very well, at the very least, it will be not very fun for folks to have to deal with that sort of tension and drama during the game. So you have to address that. You can't just let that stuff go. This cat, I got Squeaky down here. He's just nibbling. He's nibbling at me. Have you used Incarnate for your maps? Do you like it? I personally have not used Incarnate for my maps. I do know that many of the people who create maps, I'm pretty sure that many of the people who create maps for Lair magazine use Incarnate. And they get really good results. So, or at least my map pack. The map pack I recently released, I'm pretty sure one of the dudes uses Incarnate. At least one of them uses Incarnate. And they get really good results. I don't personally use it though. This cat, he just keeps biting me. Goliath Cleric uses Incarnate? Oh, there you go. Danny says mods, no spamming please. Oh dear. Oh, I answered that one. I'm trying to direct my party in a different direction from a villain. So you introduced the villain and now you want to redirect them. Okay, so the mea culpa was you introduced the villain and now you don't want them to go after the villain. So be aware, ladies and gentlemen, that when you introduce a bad guy to your players, they're going to want to go fight that bad guy. It just happens. Probably because your players are being good players and they understand that it's a game. Dungeon Master created a thing. We should go play that thing. That's part of the social contract. They're being good players by going after that villain you created. Anytime you deliver a bad guy, a problem in the game world, even in passing mention, your players have been trained, usually, to think of that as a potential thing that they should go and adventure on, because that's part of the social contract, the unspoken social contract of Dungeon Master creates a thing, he delivers a plot hook, players then go do that thing. So if you create a villain, don't be surprised if when you tell them about it, they're like, oh, we should go fight that villain then. It's just what's gonna happen. What is an effective way to tell them the villain is too strong? Well, you know, you describe it. You use your words. And also not very relevant right now in the story. Well, if it's... So you were probably doing some foreshadowing. Fair. Okay. Absolutely fair. You're going to do that from time to time. You're going to want to have some villain that you want to foreshadow a little bit. You want them to learn about the villain and stuff like that. So the biggest thing that you don't want to do then is it doesn't matter how much they know about that villain. If they don't know where the villain is or how to get there, not much they can do about it. So you just don't give them that information. Problem solved. If they can't get to the villain, they can't do anything about the villain. You can I foreshadowed the crap out of Lord Paxton for my Sword Coast Guard. They didn't know where he was. They can't go fight Lord Paxton if they don't know where he is. It doesn't matter that he's the big villain. He's over everything. Oh, let's go fight him. Where is he? We don't know. Let's go do some research and see if we can find him. You guys can't find out where he is. You don't know. Oh. Okay, so then if we can't figure out where he is and stuff, then that probably means it's not time for us to go fight him. Okay, fair. Do we have other villains? Yeah, there are a few other villains that Luke mentioned. Okay, let's go fight those guys. So you just restrict information. You can foreshadow your villain. You can tell them about a big bad guy. You just restrict information. They don't know where to go. They can't fight him. So that is how you basically communicate to them that it's not relevant right now. If it were relevant, you would be able to figure out what to do. But because you can't, it's not relevant. Now, how to tell them it's too strong? There are lots of ways you can do that, but it's not necessarily pertinent. You know, you could just have whatever. There's lots of different ways you could do that. But the most important thing is if you just don't tell them how to get there, they won't have any idea how to get there and they can't do it. And then they will go after other things that are on the side. So restrict information. Also, most players, when you're foreshadowing the villain, if you set the villain up as like some overarching bad guy with lieutenants below him that report to him, most players are going to understand that it's part of the game that you usually will fight the underlings first before you work your way up to the big villain. Now, some players are going to be like, no, that's a lot of work. We should go right after the big bad guy himself. That's fine. You can try to find out where he is, but I'm not going to tell you until it becomes relevant to the game. Or you could, if they're really persistent, you could just let them find out where the big bad is. Let them go try to fight the big bad, and they might just fail miserably and then run away, and then they're gonna find out, oh, he's too powerful for us. We shouldn't have done that, you know? You can do that too. There's nothing wrong with that approach either. An entire city of Kuotoa between your players and the bad guys? Well, that's one way to do it. Now they just have to kill all the Kuotoa. Curse of Strahd, tips for improving the final fight. Oh gosh, I dread the final fight. Honestly, I'm dreading the final fight with Strahd. I have no idea how to make that challenging. As is, Strahd is just gonna get, my players are gonna wipe the floor with Strahd. I can see it. I'm gonna have to do something with that battle. Probably, honestly, it's not satisfying. When I was looking at Strahd's stat block, the very first thing that occurred to me is, well, if most of that heart gets depleted, and then he starts taking actual damage himself, and it's not repairing itself, Strahd is probably going to turn into gaseous form and slip away and then heal. And then he'll come back with reinforcements to attack the players again. And if he takes a bunch of damage, he will slip away and he'll heal, you know, wherever he wants. And then he'll get reinforcements. He'll come back and attack them again. And he'll just keep playing guerrilla tactics. Run away, attack, run away, attack, run away, attack. That would be the safest, most reliable way for Strahd in his castle, considering his healing abilities and his minions, to be able to defeat the players. Most reliable way. The problem is that on paper, that sounds like, oh man, that's crazy. They're fighting Strahd and he keeps getting away and coming back, and oh man, you know what I mean? The problem is that a fight like that, when you implement it at the game table, sucks. It sucks for the players, because they fight Strahd, they hurt him a little bit, he runs away, and then they have to wait. They have to go find him again. And then he comes again, he's got reinforcements, and he's at full hit points, and they fight him again, and then he runs away. It's like the boss who keeps on healing himself, and you have to keep doing the boss fight over and over again, you know? So it's not a satisfying fight. So I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna run that fight. I don't have an answer for you. I'm in the same boat. I'm dreading that fight. Because Strahd, it's like, oh gosh. He's gotta have some minions. He's gotta have some, you gotta have some layer actions, some cool stuff he's gotta do. You gotta give him some special abilities or something. Like, he's gonna get his floor, the floor will get wiped with him. When my players get to him, they might even be able to wipe the floor with him right now, and I think they're like level 6 or something. I don't know. He does not impress me. He does not impress me as a stat block. Use the CR24 Strahd? Does that exist? Did somebody make a CR24 Strahd? Is that a thing? Oh, I would totally do that. Quasums, what's up, dude? How you doing, man? Why do I have a mug cam? Because this is very important. This is to monitor the coffee levels. This is the most important thing in the world. You gotta tell me when I'm getting low on coffee. Just Google it. It's very popular. No way. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Level 24 Strahd. How about a CR27? It sounds like it's a CR27. Oh, it's on DM's Guild. Yeah. Okay, so it's a CR27 Strahd. Okay, cool. Beautiful. Well, that's a start. That's a start. I will start there. I'll take a look at that. Yeah. I like that. All right, I think it's time for the cat strike. It's cat strike right here. Yeah, giddy up. I want to see how many cats I can get swarming down here. How many cats can we get swarming? Man, I don't have that many customers. I have so few customers. Uh-oh. 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 Here you go, Orange. Oh, here comes Squirty Pie. All right, I'll be right back. Oh. Orange missed the box. Usually orange goes in the box. Did the link work? Yeah, it works. All right. Martin, thank you for the 239 super chat. I appreciate that. You have done a little bit more damage to our boss up top. Remember, folks, if we kill the boss enough times, we're going to have a giveaway at the end of the live stream. So you can also get your name up top if you kill the boss. And then you become the boss and people get to kill you. It's great. You can get people trying to kill you. But you have not yet killed me. I'm still alive. Martin says, question, would you consider changing game system for occasion? For example, Blades of the Dark for heist instead of D&D 5e. Sure, maybe, I don't know. Here's the thing, Martin. It's not just a question. So, like, okay, let's pretend I'm not familiar with that game session you mentioned, but let's pretend that I want to do something very specific, right? A certain type of adventure, and 5th edition is not well suited to running that type of adventure. And so there's another system that is really well suited to it. Should we go run that adventure using that system? Or should we just stick with 5th edition? Well, it's not just a question of whether I know that system well or not, and whether I think it would work really well. It's a question of my players as well. Do my players know that system? Or are we going to spend 3-5 times as much time for them to learn the system, for them to create new characters that are replicas of their existing 5th edition characters, so they can go run the heist in that different system? They got to make new characters in the new system. They got to learn the new system rules. Then we got to go actually play it. Is that worth it to just run a particular type of adventure? Is it worth all of that upfront work to create new characters, possibly learn a new system, just to run one adventure because that different system is better suited to running that type of adventure? You can probably get the feeling from the way I'm wording that my answer is probably not worth it. Probably not worth all of that upfront work just because the adventure is going to be better in that system. People are probably just it'll probably be easier and fun to just do it during 5th edition. Now, if you're going to be running your whole campaign is a totally different style that a different system is better suited for, then a very strong argument can be made to maybe run a different system if you want to. You know, if your players, but it's got to be, you got to talk to your players about it too. You know, they have an investment in this game as well. You know, it's not just whatever system the Dungeon Master says we're going to do it. You know, if I decided to just switch my game over to, what is the other, it's like Dungeon World. If I just decide to switch my system over to Dungeon World or something, I'm probably going to have some players who are just like, I don't like this. Don't want to play this game. I just don't like it. And that's fair, you know, because they signed up for 5th edition. So there are some things to consider there that I just discussed. The answer might be yes. If it's just a one-off, one adventure, I'm leaning toward no. But that's ultimately a question for you and the players to talk about yourselves. William, thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate it. William has done some more damage to our boss up top. Our boss is at about half hit points, roughly half hit points, almost dead. Give Strahd glyphs of warding all over Ravenloft. Concentration list, greater invisibility, and other buffs. On the ceiling, spider climb, Dming. Well, he has spider climb. He can already go on the ceiling. I mean, if all greater invisibility, I'm more and more convinced the more I run 5th edition that greater invisibility is one of the best spells, especially for a spellcaster to have. Greater invisibility, and then you can't be countered. You can't have your spells countered, and there's disadvantage to attack you. And you can move around and people don't get opportunity attacks on you. Like, greater invisibility is like one of the best spells for the dungeon master to use on a caster. because it helps keep the caster alive longer, because that is the #1 problem with running a spellcaster in 5th edition as the dungeon master, not as a player. I'm not talking about players right now. But as a dungeon master, spellcasters usually die pretty quickly, and keeping them alive is hard, and also not having every spell they cast countered is also very challenging. So if you actually want to run a spellcaster and have it actually do anything at all in the game, you got to avoid obviously dying very quickly, and you have to avoid having everything you cast countered. And the way to do that? Greater invisibility, and then just spam fireballs or whatever. I don't know. I don't like counterspell. Counterspell sucks the fun out of the game for me as a dungeon master, because I get excited to run a spellcaster. I get excited about the cool things it can do to make the combat more exciting than just standing around and beating on sacks of hit points and just doing damage to the players. Spells are a cool mechanic. They're exciting and they're fun. And when every single one is getting counterspelled, it sucks the spirit, it sucks the fun out of the game for me as a dungeon master, you know? And so my current brain is like, okay, I got to figure out ways to get spellcasters to actually be able to cast spells and not get counterspelled. That's my challenge. Besides deploying 3 wizards in a fight. So that they can't counter all of them. So. Rob McCain, thank you for the $5 super chat. Appreciate that, dude. Counterspelling healing spells? I've done that before. You know I've done that before. I counterspelled Healing Word once. As a dungeon master, one of the players was going to cast Healing Word on another player, and I counterspelled the Healing Word. It's beautiful. I also like having my enemy clerics use Healing Word as well. My rule is that if an enemy goes down and the cleric on the next turn casts Healing Word, the enemy gets back up. They're not dead. So I turn the tables a little bit. And then the players are like, oh crap, they have Healing Word too. It's not fair. It was your character that went down, Goliath Cleric? Oh, that's awesome. I used to give my spellcasters a cheap one-use artifact that only stopped one counter spell and then would crumble away. Yeah, that's a good way to do it too. Because that's the problem. That's the problem with giving your enemies magic items. Like 90% plus of enemies are going to die and the players are going to loot their corpses. So if you give them powerful magic items to get around things like counterspell and stuff like that, you know your players are going to get those items. You gotta think, you gotta use your brain. Be like, well, I thought it would be really cool to have my spellcaster use the Staff of the Archmagi, but then my players killed him and they got the Staff of the Archmagi. What should I do, Luke? And I'm like, dude, you didn't think that they'd get the staff? What were you thinking? What were you thinking? It's like Dr. Phil. It's like every episode, I've only seen like one episode and I was like, this is the stupidest program in the world. But it's like every 2 seconds, he's like, what were you thinking? It's always him. Well, I don't know if it's always him, but it's like the episode I saw, it was like him reprimanding a guy. He's like, what were you thinking? I don't know. It's what it seemed like. So now for me, every episode is probably the same thing. I might be wrong. Scrolls. Oh yes, scrolls. That's cool. Dude, I had players destroy a magic item in my Curse of Strahd game. What was it? There was no, it wasn't Goliath Cleric. It was your game. It was the Ancient Dragon game. There was a magic item that somebody broke over their knee. There was a magic staff or something and somebody broke it over their knee and destroyed it. I forget who did that. Because the bad guy was using it and then the player was like, this thing's bad. And they broke it. Kasim snapped the staff. Oh yes, that the hag was using. Yeah, it was Kasim that did it. Yes, that's perfect. Joel, what's up, dude? How you doing, man? Limited use items. By the time the PCs get the loot, the item has only one charge left. Yeah, or it's been used, like healing potions. I love deploying the bad guy that has healing potions. And then the bad guy is drinking healing potions with a bonus action on his turn, every turn. Like he's getting beat on, he's like, duck, 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 smack, 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 next turn, duck, 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 smack, smack, smack. It's like, it sucks, first of all, that a bad guy is drinking healing potions and healing themselves every round. But it sucks even more because the players know that he's drinking up healing potions that is really their loot. Like that's their loot that they should be getting when they kill the bad guy, and he's using them up. So it's like salt and injury, salt in the wounds. There's like a special saying, adding salt to injury, adding insult to injury, adding insult to injury is what it is. Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. Oh, I should look at my questions. Yeah, we won't answer that one. Ooh. Coffee low. Oh my gosh, my moderators were putting a warning in my spreadsheet saying coffee low. Like literally, check this out. Who was this? One of my moderators put a warning in my spreadsheet saying that the coffee was low. I want to know who that was. Shaz, what's up, dude? How you doing, man? Stabby. Yeah. I want to know which moderator did that. It was Zach. Awesome. I want to go get tea. Hey, you guys, if I drink tea on live stream, do you think Danny would leave? Generous Heal. Generous Heal is taking credit for it now. Goliath and I both worked on the coloring. So Ed was working on it too. Danny's taking credit. Danny will cry. Oh, if I drink tea? Oh. She's drinking tea right now. Oh, I know, Ed. She totally is. Ed, why does your status say Danny's best bean? Why does it say Danny's best bean? I've always wondered. Why does it say that? Raymil Smith, thank you so much for the $5 super chat, dude. I appreciate that. You have done some more damage to our very first boss. You guys have not killed the first boss yet. Whoever kills the boss gets their name up there and they become the next boss. Because I'm Danny's best bean. He usurped you, Penguin Butt? Oh dear. Danny called him her best bean on a stream. Well, coming from someone who likes coffee and coffee beans, presumably, saying that you're her best bean is a high compliment indeed. It's a very high compliment. Wow. All right, let's find some more questions. Have you ever ran a real world Earth theme one shot or campaign? No. I run fantasy games with magic and stuff like that. That's what I find interesting. So I've never run that before. Just personal preference, really. Have you ever seen X Game? No, I haven't. What do you think about the newest release beta? I have no idea. How would you deal with a player who wants to cast suggestion on a captured enemy? That's smart. Okay, I'm on board with this. To force them to tell only truth for all questions for the next 8 hours. I mean, why not? Let's take a look at D&D Beyond and see what it says. Suggestion. You suggest a course of activity limited to a sentence or two and magically influence a creature you can see within range. The suggestion must be worded in such a manner to make the course of action sound reasonable, but it's magic. It is magic. Let's underscore that. On a failed save, it pursues the course of action you described to the best of its ability. The suggested course of action continue. Yeah, well, I don't see why not. I don't see any reason why you can't have that happen. That totally makes sense to me. The creature has to tell the truth for 8 hours. You could totally make that as a suggestion. I don't see any reason why not. Now, if the concern is that you're somehow going to reveal information to your players that they really you don't want them to have at this point, you know, then you can, as the dungeon master, figure out reasons why that enemy either doesn't know that or doesn't tell them or something. So it doesn't like handicap you or like destroy your like abilities as a dungeon master to like run your game or anything. You can still restrict information as needed. But if they're using what level is suggestion? It's a 2nd level spell. If they're using a 2nd level spell slot to get some information out of an enemy, that should be rewarded. You should give them something. Don't just come up with a bajillion reasons that they don't give them any information, because that's not cool either. You should give them something useful for using a 2nd level spell slot, you know. But you don't have to spill the whole beans about the whole campaign either, because that would ruin the game for your players to spill everything about the whole campaign, because, well, the monster knows. The monster technically knows all this stuff, so they cast the spell suggestion, so I kind of have to tell them everything. I got to tell them all the information. Well, okay, well, then he's going to tell them all the information about the entire campaign, the big bad, and everything that's going on. And that could ruin the game for your players, because part of the fun of a game is the mystery of not knowing certain things and then finding things out as you go along. So just because a player casts the spell doesn't mean you have to like check your brain in, you know, and not use your brain and just kind of just give them stuff because, well, the rules say that I have to. No, you still need to use your brain as a dungeon master and run the game properly and restrict information as needed, you know. So don't neglect that just because they cast a spell and just because the game rules say a thing. You know, you still have to make sure you're running a game responsibly and in a way that's going to cause maximum enjoyment for your players. Most bad guys are clueless. I mean, most mooks, dude. Big bad bosses don't trust their underlings with all the information in the world. They don't do that. Even lieutenants don't know everything. You know, mooks could be totally clueless. How do you temper players from wanting to level up quick? You can't prevent them from wanting a thing. You can't prevent them from wanting a thing. All you can do is tell them no. I have players always asking after every encounter, quest, or session if they leveled up. It's like the classic "Are we there yet?" Right? The kid in the back seat. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? I have cat hair in my mouth. I can feel it. I didn't get it. I feel cat hair in my mouth. I don't know why. Dude, I can't get it. Got cat hair in my mouth. It was probably in my coffee. And then I drank it and now it's in my mouth. You know when you can feel the cat hair? It's like, and then where is it? Raise your hand if you've had cat hair in your mouth and you couldn't find it. Bite your tongue off. Oh yeah. I hate it when that happens. Get cat hair in your mouth. And then sometimes it's a big long one and you're like, no, this is my wife's hair. It's like in my food. That's you just forget about that. It's okay. I'm never gonna come back to my wife and be like, you know, there was hair. You got your hair in my food. Because that's about the time when she's like, okay, I'm just not gonna cook you food anymore. And then you're just like, crap, what did I do? Oh, you know what? It wasn't your hair. You come up with something. What was the question? I got distracted. Oh, players wanting to level up too quick. You just tell them you're gonna level up when you level up. So here's the thing. If you're using experience points, it's a beautiful thing. They can see exactly how far away from leveling they are. You know, if you need to, after every encounter, just tell them how much experience they got. They add it up and they're just like, oh, I know how close I'm getting. I know how close I'm getting. I know how close I'm getting. And then they know, and they should stop asking you because they know literally how many experience points they're getting. So I use milestone. And I really don't want to tell my players what the milestones are. I don't want to. I feel like that somehow it ruins things a little bit because they know what the milestones are and they're just only going to go do those things. Maybe, I don't know. So I don't like telling my players what the milestones are to get a level. But if I had a special group with a severe case of needing to know when they level and stuff, and it was actually causing a problem in the game, I would consider just telling them, look, you guys are going to gain a level when this thing happens. But then the problem is your players, because they want to level up quickly, they will ignore everything else and go do that thing. And that's the problem you fall into. You know, I would probably try to just tell them, you guys chill out and stop asking me. Every time you ask me, it's going to take longer. Treat them like kids in the back seat. I don't know, dude. Hey, you keep on asking, I'm going to go drive in the country. We're going to get off the expressway. I'm going to go drive down the back roads. And then it's going to take us 3 times as long to get there. All right? Okay? See my categories. I don't know. Maybe you gotta treat him like kids in the back seat or something. What? He wants his belly rubbed again. I already rubbed his belly. He wants his belly rubbed. Ed, can you come get little guy? He won't stop bugging me. My wife is getting tired of it too. Little guy. You want your belly rubbed? Come roll. Come roll. You have to roll. Where are you going? Okay. Do you guys see what I have to put up with? Every day, multiple times a day. He demands to have his belly rubbed. Ed, are you gonna come get him or what? Raiders says little guy is a sweetie pie. He is, he's adorable. World record, little guy, no, I rubbed your belly. You need to calm down. Oh, a chart that lists out 10 different ways your players can earn XP. And they loved it because it helped them actually play the game. Yeah. You do stuff like that. Martin, thank you for the super chat, dude. Martin is going to kill this boss almost single-handedly today. How would you handle augury spell exactly as written? I mean, you can do it, then it's good, but if you fail, then it's bad, and you can't say until they try. It was given as reward in the module. Hold on a second. Augury? Let's go look at augury. I mean, I've used augury before. My players have used it. I literally run it exactly as written in the book, and I have no problems with it. It's a 2nd level spell. So they can ask you about the results of a specific course of action within the next 30 minutes. and you just give them an answer. Wheel, woe, wheel and woe, or nothing. And if you keep on casting it, right, there's a chance that you get a random reading or something. I just run it as written. Like, I have never had any problems for it. You know, it's like if we open this door that has all these weird sounds behind it, you know, what's gonna happen? And then you can just be like, whoa, okay, we're not opening that door. But almost always, there's some sort of treasure or reward in there, or it's the way forward to get treasure reward. So it's probably going to be wheel or woe. But I literally just play it as written in the book. I've never had a problem with it, and I've never had players really abuse it or spam it or anything. It's a 2nd level spell, and it gives them a tiny bit of information, but not a whole lot. It's very limited in what it can do. Boss Battle Productions. I don't get why half of the monsters in the Monster Manual and the Monster Manual 2 and Monster Manual 3 have half of the spells that they have. Like, one of the very first things that I do when I'm gonna run a spellcaster or a monster that can cast spells is see which of their spells I'm gonna get rid of and which ones I'm gonna replace. Because a lot of times these spells are garbage. They're garbage. Like, what wizard or sorcerer in his right mind doesn't have shield and counterspell? Those are the spells every single wizard and sorcerer is gonna have in your, and fireball, of course. Like, you're going to have those spells. You will have those spells. Greater invisibility is a great pick too. Hypnotic pattern. There are some spells that are so good, and everybody in the world knows that they're good, that they're going to learn those spells. They're just that good. And and then there are other spells that are so bad that you're never going to want to use them. Just throw them right out. So yeah, I mean, I think the thing is they're trying to create like some monsters with some special spells that can have some story purposes and different uses besides combat and stuff like that. You know, and they paid people to write these spell descriptions, even though they're not very optimal spells, and some of them are really, really bad, and nobody really uses them for good reasons, but they pay people to write them, so you kind of want to have them in the game somehow. And the most convenient way to put them in the game a lot of times is to put them in monster stat blocks and stuff. So we're gonna slip those in. It's kind of like, you know, it's the sunk cost fallacy. We created these things and now we have to use them. And so I think part of it's that. Yes, but anyway, reviewing the spells a creature has and then changing them is one of the very first things I do for any spellcaster type that I run in the game. They gotta have your bread and butter: shield, counter spell, you know, greater invisibility. There's got to be some bread and butter that they have. Familiar is a great spell. Yeah. If my players avoided every bad idea, I don't think anything interesting would happen. Half of the fun of the game is bad ideas. It absolutely is. You know, because like there's always that one player who springs the trap, who does the thing that everybody knows is a bad idea. Why did the player on Tuesday open up that bottle with the black liquid in it? He knew it was a bad idea. But he was like, hey, something interesting is gonna happen. And it did. So yeah, you gotta, bad ideas are like what make the game fun half the time. Totally. Spiritual weapon, great spell. Misty Step. You guys, Misty Step is an absolute requirement for an enemy spellcaster. Get yourself out of jail free. Just boop as a bonus action so I don't die. Yeah, survivability is a huge thing when you're playing an enemy spellcaster. Because it looked fun and he was right. Yeah, it was totally fun. Yeah. Because it was 4 a.m. his time. Yes, it was really late. I think where did he say he was from? Oh, he was from Britain. Yeah, and like it was late for him. All right, let's go back to our sheet. Still got that cat hair going on. Did that one. How do you handle the paladin using their mount as a scout in the forest? I don't know. Just, okay, you ride your mount. You ride faster. Okay, cool. Most scouts, many scouts in military history had horses. Or, yeah, obviously in the mechanized age, they had, like, you know, vehicles that would carry them faster. But a lot of scouts were mounted for good reason, because you go, you find something, oh no, and then you can get back to tell people about it very, very quickly. So mounted scouts are a thing. How do you manage the information the mount gains? Oh, you're talking about a paladin using their, like, mount spell. You're talking about the spell. What's the name of that spell? Is it literally called mount? Is it called mount? Is it a spell called, what's the name of the spell? Summon mount. What's the actual name of that spell? Find steed. Thank you. Because I'm pretty sure that's what the person's actually asking about. They're talking about find steed. And they have an intelligence, right? Intelligence becomes 6. It can understand languages and stuff. Okay, cool. All right, that's great. So it's a mount, and it can go ahead and scout. It's a big horse. It's a big horse. Are you kidding me? All by himself. Let's just put ourselves in a dungeon, okay? Let me role play a dungeon. Let's just role play a dungeon really quick here. All right, so I'm an orc. I'm in a dungeon. I'm with my orc buddies, right? We're sharpening our weapons. We're talking about raiding some village and killing people. And then we hear bang, 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 bang. What the heck is that? And the next thing we know, the door breaks down because a horse can't manipulate a doorknob. And so it's just gonna have to kick it down. And we all look over and we see a horse that just kicked the door down. Okay. Hey boys, I think we're gonna have horse tonight for dinner. The orcs get up, they go get the horse, they kill it, and then they eat it for dinner. Well, there you go. There's one solution. Let's pretend that there is no door and the horse just walks in, and the orcs look over and they're like, there's a horse, he just walked in. Let's pretend the orcs don't like horse meat. That's fair. They look over and they're like, okay, what are we gonna do with this horse? Let's capture it. It's a horse. We can ride it around. That's a great idea. Let's go capture that horse. And then they chase after the horse to capture it. There you go. They capture the horse. I don't know. They got nets. They got longbows and stuff. They can shoot at it. They can slow it down. They can bring it down. You know, I don't know. They'll figure it out. They're orcs. You know, if it's going to run away, it's going to run through a dungeon. It's also a large animal. It's a large animal, which means it's a 10-foot square. Okay. There are some places in a dungeon that it would be squeezing potentially, you know. You got stairs, which are difficult for a horse to manage, I'm thinking. And any door is a problem for a horse. Bottom line, find steed using a horse to scout ahead all by itself is a bad idea. It's a bad idea. Monsters are not just going to be like, hey, dude, there's a horse walking through our dungeon. Oh, well, I mean, horses walk through our dungeon every day. What's the big deal? You know, there's like select few situations where a horse randomly walking into an enemy's camp is going to be a non-event. Maybe if there were already lots of horses there and your horse as a spy goes to the horse line, you know, and then like wanders into camp, maybe all of the soldiers will think, oh, one of our horses got loose. Let's just take him back to the horse line and tie him back up again. And then your horse is tied up and then he's got to figure, and he might bite through the rope and then get away. Okay, that might work. But there are lots of situations in the game where a horse as a scout by itself is going to be a very bad idea. And it's up to you to just role play your monsters properly. Now, your players might not like it. They might be like, well, that sucks. My horse scout he just got eaten by the orcs. That sucks. You got to be like, dude, you sent a horse into an orc den. What did you think was gonna happen? That was not a good idea. That's not a good idea. It's gonna get eaten, dude. Like, what do you want me to do here? Like, just because you want a thing to work doesn't mean it can work. It doesn't work that way. It has to be a reasonable idea with a chance of success. You know, I can't just make a thing happen because you want it really badly. Now, if you have the wizard using its familiar, and its familiar happens to be a spider that's climbing on the ceiling or something, that has a much better chance of working than a horse. Of course, the spider can't get through the door. That you still have a problem. There is a reason. There are a multitude of reasons that dungeons have doors. Multitude of reasons. I have made a couple dungeons that didn't have doors, and you run into lots of problems when you don't put doors in your dungeons. All dungeons should have doors. I should actually make a video that's literally like why all dungeons should have doors. That should Danny, can you send me a message to remind me? That needs to be a video. Why dungeons should have doors. There are so many reasons that dungeons need doors. I've made a dungeon before that didn't have doors and it was horrible. There were lots of problems with it. I don't think I made a video called why dungeons should have doors. I don't think I did that. That doesn't. Yeah, doors are overrated. Danny. Danny, do you know that there are 2 times of the year that people get raises? There's the mid-year raise that happens right about now or July, right around June or July is when people get mid-year raises. And then of course there's the end of year raise that happens in the January time usually. There are 2 times of the year that people get raises. And you're giving me sass. I just want to point out that you know, just in case you want to reconsider your life choices and stuff, you know, just throwing that out there. Fake doors. Yes, Mr. Gore, what's up, dude? They're fake doors. Fake doors. No, real fake doors. Penguin Butt says, Danny, I just give him the thing he wants. It's hard to put doors in a forest. That's why. Okay, there's another reason. Here's another reason. Adventures should take place in places that are locations where there are rooms and corridors. There is. If you look at the majority of modules that get made, adventures usually take place in confined areas where it could be a cave system, it could be a castle, it could be a traditional dungeon, it might be the sewers. There are also a massive amount of reasons that most adventures should take place in closed areas that have like rooms and corridors and doors. There's a lot of reasons for it. Lots and lots of reasons. It makes the adventure more interesting and fun for a variety of reasons. When an adventure purely takes place out of doors, as like a once in a while thing, okay, cool. But there are lots of reasons to have confined and closed spaces, lots of them. That should be another video, Danny. So yeah, you might have a random encounter or something that happens in the forest, but I'm not gonna have. If there's an adventure in the forest, I guarantee you there's going to be ruins or some sort of tree fort or something in the forest that gives walls and rooms and doors and a ceiling and preferably a floor as well, you know. A Mirkwood themed forest where there's like a corridor, you could do that, yeah. Where the ground is so uneven that it forms corridors basically that you have to kind of follow, yeah. I answered that one. Where was this? This was like 1 hour, maybe like 35 minutes, something like that. How do you handle when a wizard uses his familiar to summon it on the other side of a door? Well, let's look at the game rules. Almost assuredly, you can't do that. Let's find out. Find. I have a cat here that is going nuts on me. Mommy wants attention. Can't really see her. She's totally off camera, but she wants attention, and I have to give her attention. She's very demanding. Very, very demanding. So it says appearing in an unoccupied space within range. Oh, so you don't have to see where it appears? It's a first level spell. It takes an hour to cast. So could you theoretically summon your familiar? You have to cast the spell. You can't just stash it. Hold on a second. As an action, you can temporarily dismiss your familiar. It disappears into a pocket dimension where it awaits your summons. Oh, it does say you can cause it to reappear in any unoccupied space within 30 feet of you. Wow. So you could, okay. So you could, according to the spell rules, you could literally have your familiar go into the pocket dimension and then just appear on the other side of the door, scout the door out, and then reappear on your side. And then you guys would know what's behind the door without opening it. So by the rules as written, you can do that. If I had, this is true. This piece of advice is true for everything in the game. If any given game mechanic is being abused and it is causing a problem for the game, there are a variety of different problems abusing a game mechanic could cause. If it's being abused and it's causing a problem, then that is always cause for the dungeon master to adjust things if they feel that it is needed. Always. It's always within your right. So if somehow there are different ways you could probably abuse that. I don't know that I want to brainstorm them right now, but if that's being abused and they're always having familiars appear on the opposite side of the door and it's causing a problem somehow in your game, then you're absolutely within your rights to be like, hey guys, this is a problem. This is why it's a problem. And what I'd like to do is you have to be able to see where the familiar is going. Simple fix. You can only summon it where you can actually see. It has to be in an unoccupied space that you can see. And with that small change, it now can no longer be on the other side of a door and unlock the door or scout ahead or something like that and kind of ruin the element of exploration. Because that's one of the problems. That's one of the problems with there being no doors in a dungeon. That's one of the problems, is a familiar can just scout the entire dungeon, and then in the course of 15 minutes, the players know the entire layout. And you could say, well, look, that's a clever use of a familiar. It's not really clever because everybody does that, or everybody tries to. So it's not clever. I reject that response. The real problem with scouting out the entire dungeon in 15 minutes is that it ruins the game for players who enjoy exploration. All of that sense of not knowing what's in the dungeon, not knowing what could happen, not knowing what you're going to encounter, there's a lot of excitement and anticipation that happens about the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. But when you know everything that's possibly there, that ruins a big portion of the game mechanic, a big portion of the game for lots of players. Now, some players don't care and they just want to know, and then they can plot the optimal route to fight the fewest enemies possible and get to their objective. And that's fun for them. But there's lots of players whose game would be ruined if there was no exploration, if there were no mystery, if they knew everything. It'd be the same. It would literally be the same as reading the module before you played the game. I'm playing in a Descent into Avernus game right now. I'm not reading the module. It would ruin the game for me if I knew everything that was in the game in advance. So in the same way, scouting out a dungeon in 15 minutes could ruin that entire 4-hour game session for some of your players. So that's one way potentially that Find Familiar could be used to ruin the game for some people. If it were abused and became a problem, always within rights to modify it if you feel it's necessary. Most of my players historically are just smart enough to know not to abuse something. My players know that if they use, dang, I got this like cough just sitting here. My throat. My players, like, if they did something like find familiar once to see on the other side of a door, okay. And they might do it every so often, maybe. But my players know me, and they just know, and they also enjoy the game, and they don't want to ruin the game. So they just know that, you know, is there something that you could do? Just because you could abuse the game mechanic to get a certain result doesn't mean that you should. It doesn't mean that it's the best thing to do for the game. And they also know that if they abuse it, I'm probably going to house rule it and change the problem. They know that I'm going to, because if something's ruining the game for people, I'm going to fix it. I will. And so my players, most of them are just smart enough not to abuse something. If they use it every so often and get a little bit of an advantage, they know that Luke's probably going to be okay with that. But if they do it all the time, Luke's probably going to do something. So they don't want to ruin it for themselves. Orca Dude, hello. Welcome back to existence. Elusive Hobo, thank you for the $4 super chat. I appreciate that. We have almost killed, you guys have almost killed me, but I'm still alive. I still have almost half my health. Yeah, we're doing Q&A today, Orca Dude. What, did Danny just leave us? Danny left us? What did she say? She's gotta go? Oh. That's so sad. Yeah, it's hashtag question, like it usually is. Yeah. Let's see. Instead of gold pieces, should one just use paper currency so the party doesn't have to carry wheelbarrows of gold when they go shopping? You're the dungeon master. You don't have to even track the gold if you don't want to. You can do whatever you want, dude. It doesn't matter. Like, if you're the dungeon master, you could either hand wave the fact that they got to carry wheelbarrows of gold, or you just, or you can give them paper currency if you want. But honestly, paper currency is like an invention of more advanced societies where there's actually a strong central government or entity that can back up the validity of a piece of paper. You know, like paper currency. I mean, I don't know all the history behind paper currency, but like there's a reason that coins, things of value, were currency, because there was literal value to it. And it's like, it's gold, dude. Like, it's literally gold. Okay, we exchange that. That's our currency. But if it's a piece of paper, you know, maybe somebody gives you a piece of paper in exchange for something of value, and then nobody honors it. You know, there's got to be an element of trust. You have to believe that piece of paper has value. And so that's something that happened, you know, as society advanced and stuff. You know, in medieval times, dude, which was where D&D usually takes place, paper currency doesn't get trusted a whole lot, unless of course you're running a campaign setting where there are strong central governments or banks or organizations that issue currency and then honor them, and they're trustworthy. So there's also an element of, like, you know, believability, verisimilitude to consider as well in your game. Not just whether there should be paper currency for ease of use, but also does it make sense in the game world for there to be paper currency. All right, here we go. Martin, thank you, Martin, for the $10 super chat, dude. I appreciate that. Martin's got lots of questions tonight. We're hooking you up, dude. What do you think about running games as a show, influenced by Critical Role, Finale, and Mercenaries of Mischief? Also, I played in Bill Allen's game, and the experience was interesting. This is my last post. Please beat the boss. Okay, look it. If you're going to run the game as a show, similar to the people that I'm not familiar with Mercenaries of Mischief, but if you're going to run a game as a show, then you should have the buy-in from your player. There are two things. One, if you're running your game as a show, your players should be aware of that, and they should be okay with that. They should be on board with that. Hello, folks. We're here to play D&D, but we're also really here to run a show whose purpose is to entertain the audience. The players need to be on board with that. They have to agree that, yes, this is the sort of game I want to run, because that's a different sort of game. There's a way different sort of running a D&D game as a show and just playing normal D&D. Two totally different things. Okay. Now, are some D&D games, because of the composition of the people involved, similar to a show? You could make that argument, but most D&D games are nothing close to a show. Okay. So get your players buy-in if you want to run it. And the second thing is, not only get your players buy-in, but handpick your players. Holy crap, are you kidding me? If I want to, okay, I live stream many of my D&D games over on Twitch. Almost all of them. No, half of them. Half of them get live streamed over on Twitch. And they're just actual D&D games. They're real D&D games. We're not putting on a show. I don't even pay attention to chat. I'm literally just running a game for my players. I couldn't care less if people find it entertaining or not. I am there to run the game for my players and for my players to enjoy, my players and me to enjoy ourselves. I don't care if people think it's entertaining or not. I just don't give a flying crap, because I'm there to run a game for them and for me. That's my purpose. If I were to run a D&D game as a show, I would hand pick my players. I would want players who can do good performances. I would want players who are interesting as either individuals, or they can role play interesting characters. I would not want players who don't talk a whole lot, who are uncomfortable on camera, who don't like talking. That's not good for a D&D show. You want players who can talk. You want players who can put on a performance. Ideally, you're going to get players who can use special voices, because using or accents or whatever you want to call it, that makes a show more interesting. And if your players don't do that, and they're not into that sort of thing, the caliber of your show is probably going to go down a little bit, or a lot. All right. So there are certain things you want to consider if you're running D&D as a show. There are certain elements you want to have present. And so handpicking players who are best suited for that, I think, is a very important thing to consider. So there are some ideas there, some thoughts on running D&D as a show. There's nothing wrong with doing it, you know, but there are some special considerations. You don't just take your normal playing group, you know, and just go start trying to run it as a show, because if your players aren't on board with it, it's not going to work. If your players don't have the right showmanship or personalities or whatever you want to call it, they might not work very well on that show. It's a different thing. It's a different beast. All right, we got more super chats, and we've killed the boss. There we go. You guys killed the boss. Elusive Hobo killed the boss with a $20 super chat. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, dude. And Elusive Hobo is now the boss, so you get to kill him or her, whatever. And Caucasian Persuasion, thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. I try to remind my players the clock is always ticking, even when they're not moving toward others or moving around them. 1 hour cast time is mad. Oh yeah, the Find Familiar, if you're spending an hour casting it, yeah, that's a long time. Things could happen during that 1 hour for sure. But you can also just store it in a pocket dimension and then get it back as an action, you know, within 30 feet within range, 30 feet within you, and you don't have to be able to see it. So I think that's probably where it's kind of instantaneous, you know. Nixit says pretty people are a plus. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Of course it is. Of course. You know, you used to have like, I watch older movies, you know, like from the 70s and 80s and stuff. And there are some of those the actors from like that era that are not super attractive, you know, but they were good actors. But now it seems more and more that, you know, physical attractiveness is becoming very, very important. in like Hollywood and movies, and when you're putting on shows and stuff. So yes, that's something to consider. You know, it's a thing. It's a thing. It absolutely 100% is. You can argue day and night whether it's right or wrong. It doesn't matter. It is what it is, and that's the way things work. And honestly, the people who do that, the people who make those decisions, they make those decisions because they know that the audience responds better to it. It's not their fault. They didn't create the game. The audience, which is collectively us, we respond a certain way to certain stimuli, certain things, and then people who run these shows and make movies and stuff know what gets the best reaction from us, or what we're most willing to pay for, or what holds our attention, and then they give us those things. It's not their fault. You know, the audience is the one that responds more heavily to those things. They're just giving the customers what the customers want. You know, so it is more of a statement of us collectively as people, you know, than it is of a certain industry and what they're doing, if that makes sense. All right, Compass Rose, thank you so much for $5 super chat. I appreciate that. Should DMs punish a socially awkward player's character for the player failing to say what they mean? It's not what you said, but how you said it. No, I don't think so. Dude, like, okay, you're playing a big barbarian, but you are a skinny nerd. You are skinny. All right, Mr. Player, you're role-playing a barbarian. Go walk over there and pick that couch up. You want to break the door down? All right, show us your strength. If you can't pick that couch up over there or do something, then your character can't do it either. So there needs to be a certain element by which you divorce a player's abilities from their character's abilities. I am role-playing a wizard. I cannot actually cast spells. Therefore, I as a player should not be required to cast magic spells in order for my character to cast magic spells. Role-playing a barbarian, I as a player should not be required to pick up heavy objects so that my character can pick up heavy objects. I am role-playing a very persuasive bard who is very good with his words and can sweet-talk people down and convince them of a variety of things. However, I have no such ability. I am very awkward and can't express myself very well. Does that mean then that my bard can't express themselves very well? No, of course not. My charisma or my leadership ability is very, very low, but I'm role-playing a bard who has a super high charisma, and they should be able to do those things. Therefore, no, you should absolutely not punish the player. You should not punish the player. You should not punish the character because, or the player, because the two don't align. It's just illogical. It's totally illogical. So, and a lot of times too, you guys, it's the fact of the matter that many times, as players in the game, we like to create characters who can do things and who are things that we are not, but that we hope that we would be able to do. Like, I wish I were more handsome than I am, and so I'm role-playing a very clever bard who, like, is always good with the ladies or something, because I'm not, let's say, and I wish that I were. And so I'm gonna role-play a character that is something that I wish I had in my life, but I don't. So oftentimes we do that sort of thing. We think it's cool, we think it's interesting. You know, we want to play that fantasy hero, you know, that we kind of aren't in our real lives, you know? And so we're oftentimes going to be playing a character that isn't who we are, actually. So no, I shouldn't have to be able to, you know, pick up that boulder, for my barbarian to pick up the boulder. It's not reasonable. And so for a character, or for a player who isn't very good with talking, then they should try to express what they want to do as best of their ability. But when their bard actually goes to try to sweet talk the guards and letting them by, it really shouldn't depend on what the player says, really. It should depend on the dice roll. Now, if the player has a really good idea, you might get advantage on your dice roll. But you shouldn't punish them just because they're not good expressing themselves or they have low charisma, because that's just not, it's not fair. It really shouldn't work that way. There's your answer. Where was that? Oh, there we go. Let's do this. Compass Rose, thank you for $2. I ask as a player on the receiving end of that. Oh yeah, no, you got screwed. If your dungeon master did that to you, you got screwed. That's not cool. Yeah. You should be. I would retort right back. Well, you know what? You know what? The next time the fighter wants to hit an enemy with his sword, the player should have to get a real sword and show us that he knows how to use a sword. Because I guarantee you his butt does not know how to use a sword. All right? Doesn't know how to use a sword at all. So if I have to demonstrate as a player the same skills that my character should have, then everyone at the game table should have to do it too. Because fair is fair. That would be my retort. Thank you. Oh, you guys are making some steady progress on this next boss. Elusive Hobo. They are slowly killing you, dude. You're slowly being killed. Orca Dude, thank you for the $7 super chat. I appreciate that. My players and I are currently fighting 20 plus orcs to get a base of operations. It's a lot of orcs to kill. What are some things we should put in it? Also, whoop whoop, first super chat. Hey, yay, woo! Thanks, dude. I appreciate that. Okay, guys, let's figure this out. What should they put in their base of operations? I would want to have some sort of like, bar. You want a place, nice cool place down in the basement where you can have a bar. Get some sort of like ice box with some magical ice cubes in it that can keep the drinks cold. Definitely want to have something like that in your base of operations. You probably want to have a guard, some sort of a giant keg of ale. Restrooms, yes, you want restrooms. Funny thing, lots of adventures, lots of maps, lots of modules. There are no restrooms. I don't know where people do their business. You never find bathrooms, jacks, nothing. It's like, I don't know, there's a stream over there. So definitely get some restrooms. You want to do some upgrades. So most bad guys don't use the bathroom, I guess. So you want to do some upgrades to your base. That's the first thing. You want to have some defenses. You want to have like a guard or something for sure. Maybe have some traps in there. Have some gnomes. Go out and capture some gnomes and make them make alchemical potions for you. It's always good to have some gnomes in your workshop creating healing potions for you. You go out, do an adventure, you come back, you collect some more healing potions. That's always a good thing to do. I would definitely work for that. So a blacksmith, training grounds, portable temple of Grumsh. Yes. Those are all great things. Bag of holding restrooms. Oh, yes. They magic it away. A bunch of horses that tried to scout. The bones of horses that tried to scout ahead. I don't know what's going through a player's brain when they want their horse to scout ahead. How is that ever going to work? Be right back, guys. Gotta go feed the Otiug. Oh, that's perfect. A catapult for the gnomes. Portable hole. Yes. All good ideas. All great ideas. Who's this? Mommy. I got these cats are bothering me. Oh, it's cat trip time. You guys, we gotta do our cat trip. Coffee is low. Oh, jeez. My coffee is getting low. Thank you. Thank you for the coffee alert. Let's do a cat trip. Where is this? All right. Here we go. Do players actually send horses to scout ahead? I hope not, dude. I hope not. I'll just kill them. Your horse got killed. I don't know what to tell you, dude. This is cat trip time. We're doing a cat trip. I gotta find their stuff. Where's your banana? Okay, I got your banana. Where's the carrot? I gotta find their carrot. Where's your carrot? All right, I found it. I have the happy carrot. I have the banana and the happy carrot. Somebody asked me toward the very beginning of the stream why I have a camera pointing at my coffee. This is why. So now you can see me apply the catnip to the happy carrot and the banana. And this banana has seen better days. This thing gets chewed on a lot. The happy carrot is still happy though. Still very, very happy. All right. Oh, we're gonna go over to, whoops. We're gonna go over to the cat cam now. My cats are swarming. I have several interested parties here. Hello, Squeaky. I have, what is it, 5? Yeah, I got 5 cats right now. Very, very interested in the cat crack. All right, I'm gonna go bio. I'll be back in a hot second.
No recordaba lo bueno que era estar a solas, sin que me juzguen, con mis amigas cantando rolas. Que me aprecien, pero no tanto, quiero estar sola. Estar soltera, no disponible y siendo moda. Yo te quiero pero déjame, no me amas, eso se te ve. Y si sigues pues agárrate, que esta chica no la vuelva a ver. Yo te quiero pero déjame, no me amas, eso se te ve.
moving everything around. Was everybody good? Was there any fighting? That's hot. A smaller box. It's 2 a.m. Yes, and you're watching Cats. Well, what else are you gonna do? Everyone behaved? All right. Nice. Wiki. All right, let's go over to... All right. Have you ever considered making a print tier for Lair magazine? Oh gosh, no. Oh no. The complexities of a physical print product and shipping it. Oh my gosh. Oh my word. I would lose my mind. Although I will say, that I have been kicking around the idea of another Kickstarter that might just be taking a year's worth of Lair magazine, and then having a print version of it. So that was an idea that we had for a Kickstarter that we could do like in January of next year. So I've thought about that. It would give people an opportunity to get it in print if they like it in print, and some folks who don't have much of it would be able to get all of it, you know. So I have thought about that, but a print tier, no way, dude. That's crazy. Just going right now, just doing my Kickstarter and fulfilling my Kickstarter, the complexities of getting stuff printed, and then the logistics of shipping it to people. Oh my word, it's mind-bogglingly complex. I don't want to mess with that. And it would probably have a negative ROI. All told, the complexity of doing it and the shipping costs and stuff, there's a massive upfront cost to that. I would probably never recoup that. It would be red. It would just be a big red hole for the business. More than likely would be my guess. Yeah, so that's probably, sorry. Are there other D&D Discord communities online other than this one that are good? No, ours is the only good one. I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are. I'm not familiar with any others though. I only spend time in mine. All right, doing questions. Got questions, do them. Penguin Butt says, Luke, do the Kickstarter, do it. Shelf display spots are already planned. Yeah, there are print on demand places. I would have to put it on DriveThruRPG, and I do not want to put my Lair magazine on DriveThruRPG because they take 35% of my earnings, and I'm not giving them all my money. No, thank you. It's not gonna happen. So it's probably just not gonna happen. Sorry. I might do a Kickstarter though. Might do a Kickstarter. Does leaving additional hints for secret loot that players are about to miss ruin the point of secret loot in the first place? Yeah, it kind of does. It really does. If they miss the secret loot, they miss the secret loot. It happens. You can do one of two things. Your players will never know they missed the secret loot. They will never know. They will never know. So you could either just write it off and be like, okay, you guys missed it. Or you can take that secret loot. Hey! Knock it off! See, that's what bad kitties do. Oh, and then they're gone. So little guy is like, okay, I'll play with it then. Little guy. He's like, I'm gonna play with the banana. Yeah, play with the banana. What was I saying? Oh, you can take the secret loot that they missed and just be like, okay, you missed it, whatever. Move on with the game. Or you could just take that secret loot and you could put it in the next adventure they go on in a different secret place or something. And then maybe they'll get it there, maybe not. Who knows? I mean, there's a couple different ways you could do that, you know. This is what I do. If there is loot that I want the party to have for reasons, I will make sure I put it in a place that they cannot miss it. If there is loot that I think should be optional and there should be the possibility of them not getting it, then I will put it in a place that is like hidden or secret or something. And then if they miss it, they miss it. So that's what I do. Would it be appropriate to use an Arcana check to see if a player senses magic in the area? No! Sorry, I shouted. Otherwise, I'm a bit confused as to what an Arcana check is used for. You cannot have an Arcana check detect magic. Absolutely not. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. We're gonna go to D&D Beyond. I'm gonna look up a thing or two. This detect magic. Detect magic is a spell. It is a first level spell. The entire purpose of this first level spell is to detect the presence of magic. So, if you allow an Arcana check to detect the presence of magic, you are giving the Arcana check a massive, huge buff. It replicates a spell. And then basically any character in the game can detect the presence of magic. That's nuts. Okay, so generally speaking, if there is a spell or a game mechanic, a feat, a character ability that does a thing, it needs to be earned and used according to the game mechanic rules. You can't just give it for free as part of a skill check or something. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it basically ruins the fact that detect magic works, that is even a spell. It ruins that other game mechanic by allowing other people to have it for free. You know, and then you're gonna have your wizard who's like, dude, it's like, dude, I can cast first level spells and detect magic is one of them, but you just let our barbarian make an Arcana check to detect magic. You just nerfed me as a wizard, dude, and I'm gonna go cry now. You know, so no, you can't do that. It's not the way that works. Arcana is for knowledge. It is to know things about topics that have to do with magic. It might be otherworldly creatures like devils or demons or celestials or something. It might have to do with aberrations, certain monsters you might know something about, you know, using an Arcana check, but it has to do with knowledge. It's what you know. That's why Arcana is an intelligence skill, because it has to do with your knowledge about things arcane. So if you study some arcane runes on a wall, you could do an Arcana check to try to interpret what those runes mean. If there's some otherworldly being present, you might do an Arcana check to see if you know anything about this being. Those are the sorts of things that Arcana checks are used for. They're to get knowledge. It shouldn't be used to replicate an existing spell though, because that doesn't, it's not good. Yeah, exactly. That's how you get Sleight of Hand to cast silently. No! You can't use a Sleight of Hand to cast a spell silently. There is a sorcerer meta magic that literally is subtle spell that allows you to cast silently. And if you allow anybody with just Sleight of Hand to cast silently, what the heck does dexterity and being able to hide things and steal things and stash things on my body have to do with casting a spell silently? Nothing at all. You have to change the properties of magic and that spell to be able to not use one of the spell components. And that takes training and skill, which is why you have sorcerers and meta magic. Thank you. There's a good rant right there for you. Okay. Where's that question? Moderators, where's that question in our spreadsheet? Can somebody put that in? I want to timestamp it. I just need it in the spreadsheet. Or mark it or something so that I can see it. I don't know where it is. Help. Moderators, help me. Help. Help me. Help me. Help me. Okay, I found it. Everybody else was looking for it too. Okay. Probably about. All right, sweet. Got it. I got it. Orca dude, thank you for the $7 super chat, man. I appreciate that. My alarm just went off. It's time for me to go back into the void of non-existence. I hope to see you next stream. Goodbye. I'll see you, Orca dude. That must mean it's time to go to work or something. The void of non-existence. That's how we define work. It's so horrible. I hate how, like, you know, the it's so sucky to have a job that you don't like, and it's like, you know, you go to work and like the majority of your life is spent doing something that you don't enjoy, you know. You know, life wasn't always like that for human beings. It wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't. It used to be that people didn't work for companies and stuff, you know. People just had their own businesses, you know, their own little tiny business, or they farmed or something. They raised their own crops and stuff. They, you know, they just, you know, there's something that seems more satisfying about that than working at an office, doing something that you don't particularly enjoy. If you don't enjoy it. That's not everybody, of course. It's time to move to Alaska, folks. Destroy all corporations. Oh, gosh. I work at a large corporation. I do not wish it upon anybody. I mean, it's good money, but I mean, it's not okay. I've had much worse jobs. Let's be very clear. But yeah, not really a question, more of a request. Can you show me how you organize your files? I'm planning my first campaign and would like to see how you do it. Sure, I can do that. All right, how Luke organizes his files. All right, so let me go into. Oh, Orca dude says, Luke, I'm 15. I don't do work. It's just 1:30 a.m. Well, you said timer, and that triggered a rant about corporate crap. Congratulations. Lucas says, I live in Alaska. We aren't exactly rolling in job opportunities. Oh, yeah, I believe it, dude. Okay, so how I organize my files. I don't know if you guys can see this. So, let's go into Ancient Dragon campaign. So here's the main quest arc. This is where almost everything goes in the main quest arc. And then I have each folder here contains one of their adventures, and they're all organized, they're numbered, right? It tells what level it's for. And then if you open up one of these, if you open up a file folder, you're going to find the quest itself, which is right here. I have some basic information about this one that I wrote, and you know, it's got different points about what's in the different rooms and stuff, you know, so some very basic information there to help me run that adventure for my players. You're also going to find inside that folder the maps that I used for this particular adventure with my players as well. There's a couple different maps that I used. So, and that's pretty much that. That's how those files get managed. There's some other stuff here, character backstory information or stuff, but player handouts or something, but that's the majority of those files. So those are the files like Word documents and stuff on my computer. And you also have my notes that I take for the game, you know, which I do in OneNote. So you're gonna have, these are my game session notes over on the right hand side. So for each game session gets an entry and there's different notes that I take. I did an entire video about the notes that I take for my games, so you can go look at the video on my YouTube channel, but there's just basic notes, things that I keep track of, things I got to do. Goliath Cleric, Ancient Dragons, don't look at this, you'll ruin your game. And then, you know, session planning and stuff, but this isn't necessarily file organization. And then I have different information that I keep track of about the game, different things that are going on, downtime activities, encounters and crap that I've planned out for them, you know, that sort of thing. There's some high level campaign planning that goes on over here. You know, I got some stuff here, that a table that helps keep track of the adventures and what I'm planning on doing. I have another thing here that keeps track of like the days, what time it is, when they did different things. You know, I want to keep track of these things because it becomes pertinent at times to remember when certain things happened in the game, you know. But that's more of note taking. That's not exactly like, you know, my files and stuff. But there's some stuff right there for you. Let's get this back up. Penguin Butt, if that gets spammed again, it's going to be more than a timeout. Oh, very nice. I want to see what's being spammed now. I'm so curious. I want to see. I need to see. I can't see. Okay, I gotta go over here now. Oh, I'm so curious. Woo. Oh, jeez. I'm like way behind on chat. Ah. That's crazy. Oh, here we go. Oh, I can't see it. I can't see what it was for. I can't see it. I hate YouTube streaming. YouTube streaming sucks. Give me Twitch. No, let's find another question. Do you ever allow or even encourage your players to optionally minor world building during character creation, such as creating NPCs, towns, or factions? Do I encourage it? I don't know that I've actively gone out of my way to tell them that, hey guys, if you want to do this thing, go ahead and do it. But if they do it, I'm perfectly fine with that. I have no qualms whatsoever. Oh, you want to create a village that you grew up in? Okay, cool. And you want to create the names of NPCs in that village? Okay, cool. You want to create an enemy faction that you're running from, and that's why you left your village? Okay, cool. That all sounds awesome. I love it. Let's do it. So if my players do that sort of thing, that is spectacular. They're getting into it. They're doing some nice little background creation that's going to help me as a dungeon master use those things in my game, maybe create an entire adventure that has to do with some of those elements. So they're doing me a favor by creating those things, you know. Now, do they have, that's minor stuff, right? Do they have the ability to like change entire cities and continents? No, that's a different story. But little minor things like we just mentioned, that's beautiful. I absolutely would encourage that and allow my players to do that. All right. Compass Rose, $2. Thank you. Appreciate the super chat. I just lost the game. I don't know what game you're referring to. I am deeply sorrowful along with you that you lost the game. Human Dungeon Master Inc. Thank you for the $5 super chat. You guys have almost killed the second boss. Very, very nice. We were gonna do a giveaway if we get 10 bosses killed tonight, but we're not even close to the 10 bosses. So we could probably do it if we get 5 bosses. We have You have 20 minutes to kill this boss and then 3 more bosses for the giveaway. But got 20 minutes. There would have to be a big slurry of killing bosses tonight. Not only easy on the caps, but screw you is not acceptable here. Please tell me that person got banned or something. Penguin Butt, did you swing that wrench and deliver a killing blow? Please say yes. Oh, I have no use for jerkwads at all. Human Dungeon Master says, your thoughts? One player wants to play a temporary character to betray the group. DM takes bad character and player plays new appropriate one. DM takes bad character and player plays new appropriate one. The Dungeon Master and the player need to collude and agree together to do that sort of thing. If the Dungeon Master doesn't feel that the player wanting to play a character that's going to betray the group is something that they want to do in their game and that it would be appropriate for their group, that is within the Dungeon Master's prerogative to be like, no, that's not going to work for this group. That's within their prerogative. The player does not have the right to play any character that they want. The character needs to fit within the campaign and the type of game that the Dungeon Master is running. So if the question is, does the Dungeon Master have a right to tell a player that they can't play X character? Yes, they absolutely do. There are absolutely types of characters that I would not allow in my game. One of the big types of characters that I don't allow in my game, usually, unless it's a special situation and we're doing something special and I know the group is mature enough to handle it, is player versus player stuff and characters that are going to do bad things to their friends. Because many groups are not mature enough to handle that. If I were running an immature group and I knew that not everybody is necessarily friends, we're all a bunch of strangers and stuff, and feelings are going to get hurt, if there's betrayals and stuff going on and that it's going to have a negative impact on the game, then I would absolutely not allow it. So if the Dungeon Master is making a decision to protect the game, to make sure that it doesn't ruin the game by having people betray each other and backstab, then that's within their right to limit that sort of behavior. A player does not have the right to play any old character they want, because they could ruin people's game experience, and the Dungeon Master has to be cognizant of that and make sure that they are doing what they can to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to have fun at the game table and that a player isn't ruining other people's game experience. Now, if the two collude together and agree that this would be a really cool thing to do, to have, you play a character that ends up later on betraying the group and doing something, and you think the group would have fun with that and enjoy that, then that's perfectly fine. But again, it's within the Dungeon Master's right to decide what they're going to allow and not allow in their game. The DM takes the bad character. Yeah, so I don't know what I mean by takes it, but those are my thoughts on that. Nate, what up? Welcome, dude. First time live. Welcome. Welcome. USA Punk. I don't know how to say that. This is the first rule I Sleight as the DM is no PvP. It has never ever worked out. It's one of my rules. No PvP is a rule in my games. It is. It literally is. It never works out. It never works out. Stealing from other players, stealing loot, not giving other players their fair share, backstabbing them, betraying them. These sorts of things usually don't work out very well. They usually don't work out very well. Can it work out well? Yes. Is there a high probability that people get pissed off at each other? Also, yes. Which is why you're safer to not allow it. It's like, look at the whole part of the fun of D&D is that you're not against each other. Like, most games are a competition and somebody is trying to win. There are winners and there are losers. The beautiful thing about D&D and other RPGs like it is that there really aren't winners and losers. Everybody is playing together. Now, yes, the Dungeon Master, his bad guys lose all the time, usually, but the dungeon master isn't losing. The dungeon master just makes more and keeps having fun with new bad guys, you know, and the players play together cooperatively, and if they're not backstabbing and fighting each other, it's a cooperative game. That's one of the things that typically defines Dungeons and Dragons, and in my opinion makes it an awesome game where you don't, it's not like, look at, just log into like Apex Legends, you know, or a Call of Duty game, and you have the other players are all insulting each other. They're like, hey man, what's your name? And then they're like, F you, as soon as they hear your name. You know what I mean? It's like, this is what happens in other games that are competitive and you have immature jerkwads and stuff. They're insulting each other, they're putting you down, they're making you feel like crap and stuff. You know what I mean? Like that, one of the things that defines RPGs that I love about them is that that behavior usually doesn't happen, you know, because that's not the nature of the game. It's a cooperative game, not a competitive game, you know? I mean, I'm talking about those other games, which probably trends toward having younger, immature people in them, which is why they're always putting each other down, you know, and why I don't like playing those games. There we go. Matt Kraft, thank you for the $10 super chat. Appreciate that, dude. I'm 42. I work for a major company, and it is hard managing work-life balance. Hearing that you also work for a major company, how do you manage work versus free time, especially YouTube time versus family time? All right, so let's talk. Let's see. So, my first strategy. Pay other people to do the things that I don't have to do. If I don't have to do it for my business, I pay other people to do it. So, Danny, who was here previously, she puts in a lot of hours for me. I pay her for her time. She does a lot of work for the Lair. Penguin Butt does work for the Lair. She gets paid. Ed Robinson is here. He does lots of work for the Lair. I have for Lair magazine, I have freelancers. They get paid to write that content. Now my team does a whole lot of work too, to that content, but I have a video editor. Half of the videos I edit. All of the Saturday videos I edit myself, but all of the Tuesday videos, which are very much more production quality to them, more difficult to edit and stuff. I used to edit all my Tuesday videos, but I think it's been a couple years now. No, it's been about 1 year. Oh, it's been about 1 year. It's been about 1 year that I've had Zach doing all of my Tuesday videos. So my first strategy is pay other people to do the things that I don't have to do. That way I get time back. I give them money. They're happy because they're making money and they're doing things so that I don't have to do them. I'm happy because I don't have to do them and I get time back. So that's the first thing. Pay other people to do things that you don't have to do so that you don't have to do them. So first strategy is that. Second strategy is just you work all day long. I get up. Usually, it depends. Right now, I'm getting up at 5 and I go to bed around 10 o'clock. And from the moment I get up until the time I go to bed, there are breaks in there. I'll watch Netflix while I eat my dinner or my lunch or something, you know. But for the most part, most of the day, almost every day, I'm working. Either I'm doing work for my day job or I'm working on my business on YouTube or Lair magazine or something like that, or a Kickstarter. And weekends are many times working. I have certain times that I set us. I schedule certain times for my wife. Saturdays are our day to go out and do something. Saturday is our day. Many times weekdays in the evening, if I have finished all of my work and I've gotten ahead and I'm sitting in a good place, we might go out and get something, a coffee or something. Tonight I had about a half an hour. I got everything prepped for my live stream and I was ready to go. And then we went out and we got ice cream real quick. And then we came back, we sat on our patio, we ate it a little bit, and then I came down to live stream, you know? So you have to be very diligent in what you do. Here's the thing, Matt, when you run your own business, there is no life-work balance. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. When you work for a company, you can go to work. Most people, there are some people that don't, but most people can go to work 9 to 5, maybe it's a little bit longer, whatever it is. And when you get home, you turn off work. You never think about work. It's not a thing anymore. Weekends are yours. You do what you want on weekends. You don't have to worry about work. When you run your own business, you're always working. It never leaves. I get up in the morning and I think about my business. I'm doing my lunch. I'm at the gym. I'm thinking about Lair magazine and what I'm going to do. The next thing I'm going to commission. I'm thinking about, Danny, we have a touch point coming up or something. I'm thinking about these things. In the evening, I'm thinking about this. I'm editing a video. You're always thinking about it. You never turn it off. When you run your own business, there is no balance. There is your business. You know what I mean? If you want it to be successful. But you still have to try to pay as many people as you can to do as much as you can get them to do. You know what I mean? Because there are some things you have to do yourself. Like nobody else can live stream for me. Nobody else can film my videos for me. Nobody else can write the scripts for my videos for me. There are certain things that I have to do, but there are lots of other things I can pay other people to do and gets me time back. So scheduling things, keeping a schedule, planning things, planning family time, having it on your calendar as a plan, but then just working a lot. And you get used to it. You get used to working all the time, and you have the knowledge that you're creating something of your own, with the promise of someday maybe not having to work for the man and doing your own thing, and then getting rid of that day job and saying goodbye to that crap. And so that stuff motivates you, to keep going at it. So I don't know. There's some information for you. Quasms says, what's work-life balance? Oh, Quasms, are you in the same boat? Well, Quasms, you do the video editing for me and for Dungeon Coach. So you're a consultant, so you do your consultant thing, and then you get home and you're editing videos almost every day. Yeah. Where do you find the time to read new books, articles, or write adventures for your games? You schedule the time. You literally schedule the time. You guys, I use Trello, which is a Kanban board, basically, and everything that I need to do goes into Trello, and I run a Kanban board. I prioritize things, and then I just run it. I work the board, I work the board. Today I was working the board. I had several items that needed to get done on the board, and I worked on them. I got them done. Tomorrow, there are more items that are going to come over to my in progress, and I'm going to work the board. You schedule things. You just, that's how you run your life. Your life, your business becomes a big Kanban board, or you could think of it as a task list if you're not familiar with a Kanban board, and you just work through it. So when there's a new book that comes out, you really want to know, do you really want to know how I read new books? When a new D&D book comes out, do you want to know how I read them? I'll tell you exactly how, man. I got through all of Curse of Strahd by simply taking it with me to a certain room in our house every time I needed to do a certain thing. And that's how you read Curse of Strahd. Because when else are you going to find time to sit down and just read a book? It's not going to happen any other time. So you take it with you. Or what I do when I go to the gym almost every single day for hour and a half. I don't know. It takes a while. I have Audible. I listen to audiobooks. Today I'm listening to Peter Drucker right now. A lot of his teachings about management and running companies and stuff like that, So I listen to crap tons of audiobooks all the time. Take notes. I have a red book right here on my desk that has notes for all the stuff that I'm learning from them. So you learn how to maximize the usage of your time. So instead of reading a physical book, I listen to it while I'm at the gym, and I learn a crap load of stuff from it. So in case, Ed is giving you guys hints. In case you don't know, the room has a flush lever. I don't think I can make my fun time my profession. Well, prepping for games is fun for me. Oh, I couldn't make my fun time my profession. Yeah. Well, I don't want to equate my fun with work. No, that's fair. Don't do it then. Don't do it. I still have fun doing what I do though. And it's not, you know, it's interesting, Nixit. It's like sometimes it's not that it's fun, it's that it's satisfying. It's that it's satisfying. You know, I spent years of my life using my fun time to play video games. And now, hitting 40 years of my life wasted playing video games, in my opinion. You know, I didn't really create anything. I don't have anything to show for it. It was just hours and hours and hours that I was spending playing video games with nothing to show for it besides entertainment, I guess. You know, but now it's like, at least now I'm using my time to create something to help people, you know, do something more valuable, something that might last a little bit longer, something I can look back on. Right now I can look back on the last 5 years or so of my life and be like, wow, I've been creating something. I've been doing something of immense value that's been helping people, you know, and I have something to show for my time. So was it all fun? Of course not, but it's very satisfying and I don't have any regrets. But I can look back at the years I spent playing video games and be like, yeah, it was a waste of time. I regret that. I should have done something more valuable with my life, you know, with my time. But I look back at the time I spent working on my business and YouTube and Lair magazine and the Kickstarter, and it's like, I got no regrets there. That was time well spent, and it has fruit. I see the fruit of my labor. You know what I mean? So that is very satisfying. It makes me feel good, you know? So it's you know, you want to live for the present, but you also want to live for the future so that you can look back on the past and not regret it, your decisions and what you did, you know? Ed says, I don't enjoy my job all the time, but I believe in it, and that works well enough. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Goliath Cleric says, it's really cool thinking that adventures I write will be played by hundreds, if not more people all over the world. And they will, Zach. They totally will. Are you kidding me? They totally are. People are playing your adventures. Zach is a contributor to Lair magazine. Zach is actually one of my best writers for Lair magazine. Honest truth right there. And the adventures you write get played by hundreds of people, dude. They do, man. And they probably have tons of fun because you write good adventures. All right. Oh, I had a super chat. Human Dungeon Master Inc. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. What is your most crazy character NPC concept that you enjoyed most? Granny Titchwillow. I love Granny Titchwillow. Did I do a video on her? I think didn't I just make a video on Granny Titchwillow? Does somebody remember that? Was that Granny Titchwillow? Did that come out yet? Or is that going to come out in the future? I can't remember if I've already published that or not. I know I have scripted it and recorded it. I might have recorded it. Have you guys seen the video about Granny Titchwillow yet? Somebody tell me. Luke's cats need GoPros. You think so? Okay, yeah. Yeah, check out Lair magazine, Zigaroy. There's a link right there. Somebody will drop a link to Lair magazine. It's the Patreon link. What was I gonna say? Oh gosh. Oh, Granny Titchwillow is just amazing. I love Granny Titchwillow. I love the concept behind Granny Titchwillow. The hag, the witch that is friendly to the players. The players help her out. She becomes an NPC quest giver for them, even though she's a bad person. She has bad motives and stuff, but the players go along with it. I totally got them to go along with it. I loved her voice. I love the way I role played her. Granny Titchwillow is probably one of my favorite NPCs or crazy characters. Absolutely. And Granny Titchwillow has appeared in most of my D&D games. I think almost all of my games she's appeared in. So yeah, she's a very, very awesome character I created. If it's not too personal, what brand of coffee are you drinking right now? How dare you ask about my coffee? My coffee is my own business. Oh, what is it? It is decaf. It's half decaf, Folgers, I think. I usually buy the Meyer brand, which is kind of like Walmart brand of decaf. And then the other half is mint mocha from a brand that I got it off Amazon, and it does not taste a whole lot like mint, and it doesn't taste like mocha. It's pretty crappy. I'm not getting it again. I love mint mocha coffee. Love mint mocha coffee. I'm actually planning on taking my wife to the Coffee Barrel, which is a place here in, my daughter's waving at me. Hello, daughter. Would you like to come on live stream? What is it? A bullet. Oh, my daughter just found a bullet on the floor. Cool. I was wondering where this went. My daughter just found a bullet in the living room floor. This is like an expensive bullet too. So I was wondering where that went. Now I found it. I actually got to the gun range. The other day I got to the gun range, and like I unloaded. These are defense rounds. You don't shoot these at the gun range. They're expensive. I unloaded those at the gun range and then put in my FMJs. And then afterwards, after the gun range, I was putting these back in, and there were only 16 of them. And I was like, what the heck happened to the 17th one? Where did this go? And well, we found it. There we go. I gotta make sure I put that back upstairs in the magazine so that I have all 17 in there. I was like, that's magical. I know I didn't shoot it. Where did this thing go? One of the cats got it. Why do you have bullets lying around? Okay, you want to know the story of why there was a bullet lying in my living room? Because I took one of my pistols downstairs and I unloaded all of the bullets, and I put snap caps in it, which are practice rounds basically, so you can dry fire without real live ammunition. And my wife and I were just practicing with the pistol using snap caps, and all of the real bullets were unloaded in a different place. And apparently when we were done practicing, I left one downstairs or something, and if it was on the floor, I can only imagine that the cats must have found it and were playing with it or something. So that's how it got there. I know exactly how it got there. The cats are playing another treat or something. Wow. Luke really decided to use his daughter to flex on all of us. I'm not flexing. I'm just talking about my hobbies. That's all I'm doing. Yeah, 9mm are super expensive right now. Sure. Yeah. Okay, you want me to flex? Do you want me to flex? I'll flex now. Hold on. Now we're gonna flex. I was accused of flexing, and now I'm actually going to flex. All right, hold on. You accused me of it, and now I'm actually gonna be guilty. Hold on. Let me find my photos. All right, hold on. Now we're gonna flex. All right. This is my the paper I was shooting with. This was I don't know if this was a 22 or a 9mm, but do you see all of these are my groupings, and these were at like 7 yards, 10 yards, 20 yards. These were way out. I think this was my 22 actually. I think I was doing the 22. But all center of mass. This is actually pretty bad grouping. This is really bad. It's all over the place. I think this was the 22, and I think I was just doing like point aiming or something. I don't think I was actually aiming really hard. I was just firing quickly to practice. I often do that with the 22. Just kind of throw it up there and shoot. Now the this right here is my 9mm. This is the actual one where I was like taking more time. I was doing like failure to stop drills. So I was doing like 2 center of mass, and then I was doing 2 for the T-box. And here's the thing. A lot of this is at like 7 and 10 yards. My optics is set for 25 yards, which is what you would normally set an optics for. So it makes sense that my groupings are a little bit low because the optics is actually set for 25 yards. So I was aiming for the X, but because of how the optics works, it hits a little bit lower. And then I was aiming probably for around here, and it hits a little bit lower too. Now, some of these obviously are off a little bit. It happens, you know what I mean? But it's not horrible. And some of these are at 25 yards. I usually practice pretty far out because then it gives you good practice, and close up is really easy, you know? So there you go. There. That's actual flexing. Hey, for someone who just started learning about 2 months ago, I think that's okay. I think that's okay. 2 months of practice. I go every week though. We go every week, and we run about 300 rounds between 9mm and 22s. We put through about 300 rounds every single week. So we practice a lot. We practice a lot. It is one of the world's most expensive hobbies right now, though. I'll tell you that. And Deceiver says, and yet he doesn't want guns in his D&D setting. No, not in D&D. No. John Travolta really let himself go. Oh my gosh. That was this comment. That was this comment. John Travolta really let himself go. That's awesome. Oh, Rathis is literally dry fire practicing while watching. Oh, that's awesome, dude. Yes. Yeah. Totally. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're done. And that's all she wrote. It's a little after 9. I think it's time to go to bed. So, oh, Matt has he gets the last word in. Matt, thank you for the $10 super chat. I appreciate that. Sorry for the heavy questions today, dude. I'm literally here to answer questions, so no worries, man. Even if it isn't a business, do you feel that table TTRPG and DMing is a good creative way for people to spend time together other than other hobbies like video games? Well, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, dude. I think that's the primary way that people use tabletop games and stuff, is you spend time together, you know, and you use your creativity and stuff, and you relax and you unwind after rough days at work. You escape from your reality for a few hours and get to feel good about stuff, you know, and you can forget about all the bullcrap in your life, you know. You can live and portray a character that is a hero, as opposed to maybe you're not living the world's best life and you're not super happy with things. You can escape from that and do something really cool and fun. So yeah, I absolutely think that that's awesome and a good way to spend your time. And the vast majority of people, it's not a business at all. There's like very, very tiny few people that it becomes a business for them, you know? So yeah. Elusive Hobo says, I'm out of moolah. Oh, that's true. How many yeah, he's got like 1,000 hit points left. I don't know. I think you're gonna be the boss, dude, because I'm ending it right now. Man. That's why most of us do it. Most of us don't get paid for it. Yes, Ernesto, totally right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're done. I'm going home. Calling it a day. Bye, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you tomorrow, Tuesday. I stream on Twitch every week. Go join me over on Twitch. It's fun. I'm done now.
Goodbye. Goodbye, people. I love you. I love you all very much. Have a very nice evening and have a lovely weekend. Yeah, that's good.